Chapter 2571. Kong Long waved his hand and stopped the burly man. He looked at Lu Ming with interest and said, "You're the top genius of your world?" "That's right. You don't look old. Do you dare to accept my challenge?" Lu Ming said loudly. "How long have you been cultivating? If you've been cultivating for too long, you're not qualified to be my opponent." Kong Long said proudly, "I've been cultivating for more than 8,000 years. Lu Ming said arrogantly. He had heard from the ancestral Gragon that those who hadn't cultivated for more than 10,000 years were considered the top geniuses of the younger generation in the chaotic universe. Therefore, he said 8,000 years. It's not bad to have such a cultivation after 8,000 years. "All right, I'll play with you," Kong Long said proudly and stepped forward. He was curious about the skills of a top genius from a small kiliacosm. As a top genius himself, he naturally wanted to test Lu Ming's skills. "Young master, don't take risks," a burly man said worriedly. "What did you say? Take risks? Are you looking down on me? Do you think I'll lose to a native from a small kiliacosm?" Kong Long stopped and looked at the burly man coldly. His face was gloomy. The burly man's expression changed drastically. His back was drenched in cold sweat as he knelt down in fear. Young master, this subordinate didn't mean that. This subordinate didn't mean that. Please spare my life, young master." Kong Long was the son of the Yuan Luo Palace master. He was talented and loved. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been given the entire planet Dark Underworld as his territory. Moreover, Kong Long's methods were cruel, and he killed people without batting an eyelid. Provoking him would only result in death. It would be strange if he wasn't scared to death. "I've been cultivating for more than 500 years and I've reached the demigod realm. My combat strength is enough to kill a rank 1 empty god. What are you afraid of? Do you think a native from a small kiliacosm can harm me?" Kong Long said again, and his voice became colder. No, how could that be? Young master is a peerless genius. How could this bumpkin be a match for young master? Yes. I dare to bet that this native won't be able to withstand 3 moves from young master. No, 1 move is enough. The others spoke one after another, flattering him. Only then did Kong Long's expression become a little better. "Step back, don't get in the way." Kong Long waved his hand. The others could only retreat. In their opinion, Lu Ming was only at the transformation void martial stage. Moreover, a native of the spirit space was not a threat to Kong Long at all. They were very relieved about this. Seeing this, Lu Ming secretly heaved a sigh of relief. He had achieved his goal. As long as these people looked down on him, he would challenge Kong Long and take the opportunity to take Kong Long hostage. Only then would he have a chance to survive. He put on an act and Kong Long fell for it. At the same time, he was secretly shocked. Kong Long had only cultivated for about 500 years, and he had already reached the demigod realm. This was an unbelievable feat in the heavenly world, primordial realm, and fiend god realm. He had cultivated for less than 500 years, but he was different and could not be judged according to common sense. Moreover, in terms of cultivation, he had not reached the demigod realm. In addition, people like Xian Yanqing, Xian Yanjuan, and Dandan could not be judged according to common sense. However, Kong Long was able to cultivate to the demigod realm in 500 years. This talent was extremely shocking. Moreover, he had said that his combat strength was comparable to a level 1 empty god realm existence. The chaotic universe was indeed not comparable to the heavenly world, primordial realm, or fiend god realm. As soon as Lu Ming came out, he encountered a powerful supreme talent. "Young man, make your move. Let me see what a native of the spirit space is capable of." Kong Long stepped forward and was not far away from Lu Ming, his face full of arrogance. Boom! Lu Ming made his move. However, he did not use the path of the sovereign. Instead, he used the strength of his physical body to throw out a punch. What a stable space! When he threw out a punch, Lu Ming felt that something was different. His current physical strength was equivalent to a peak heavenly emperor. If he was in the heavenly world, primordial realm, or fiend god realm, the space would collapse into pieces with a punch. But now, when he threw out a punch, he found that the space was incomparably stable. Not even a trace of ripple was produced. Insignificant skill. A disdainful smile appeared on Kong Long's face as he punched out as well. His fist was covered with a thin layer of divine power. Boom! The two fists collided heavily. Then, Lu Ming's body shook violently and he retreated, spitting out a mouthful of blood. With this little strength, you are also the #1 supreme talent of a spirit space? A spirit space is indeed a native. Old bumpkin, I will cripple you now and take you back to refined medicine. Kong Long's contempt grew. With a wave of his hand, he attacked Lu Ming continuously. When the others saw that Lu Ming was beaten to the point of vomiting blood by Kong Long, they immediately relaxed. In their opinion, Lu Ming was indeed an ordinary void transformation realm martial artist. It was impossible for him to be Kong Long's opponent. Lu Ming tried his best to resist, pretending to be defeated. In fact, he was secretly triggering the battle formula. Kong Long's cultivation was in the demigod realm. His combat strength was indeed very strong, far surpassing the demigods that Lu Ming had encountered. In the heavenly world, primordial realm, and fiend god realm, there were no other demigods who could compare to him. He was not lying when he said that he could fight with a first-level nihility god. Therefore, Lu Ming wanted to trigger double combat strength so that he could suppress Kong Long in one fell swoop before the others could react. Ah, kid, kneel down and beg for mercy. Maybe I can spare you and spare your life. Kong Long laughed arrogantly, his attacks becoming more and more violent. At this moment, Lu Ming's eyes lit up. The double combat strength of the battle formula was triggered. Is that so? There was a strange smile at the corners of Lu Ming's lips. Boom! Lu Ming counterattacked. He stretched out his hand and the Sovereign's Dao exploded, directly defeating Kong Long's attack. He grabbed Kong Long's wrist and shook it forcefully. Crack! Kong Long's body shook like a sieve, his bones breaking inch by inch. At the same time, Lu Ming clasped Kong Long's neck. Kong Long was like a pile of mud, unable to move at all. All of this happened in the blink of an eye. By the time the others realized it, it was too late. What's going on? Kid, what are you doing? Let go of young master. You're courting death. The others roared in anger, releasing a terrifying aura. Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. The two burly men and an old man behind Kong Long were definitely above the 4th-level nihility god realm. They were extremely terrifying. If you take a step forward, he will die. Lu Ming said coldly. The Sovereign's Dao shrouded Kong Long. As long as he willed it, Kong Long would die. Those people stopped in their tracks, not daring to take a step forward. Kid, despicable native, let go of me, quick. At this moment, Kong Long roared in anger. Of course, he now understood that Lu Ming had been putting on an act previously. He had deliberately pretended to be weak so that he could take advantage of the situation to trap him. Chapter 2572. Let you go? You're really naive. Wouldn't I be courting death if I let you go now? Lu Ming sneered. His eyes were filled with murderous intent as he glanced at the surrounding people and said, "Move aside, let me leave. Otherwise, I'll kill him." You dare? Kid, do you know who he is? He's the young master of the Yuan Luo Hall, the son of the Yuan Luo Hall master. You'll suffer a miserable fate if you dare to touch him. Do you understand? The old man roared. His eyes were filled with cold, murderous intent. If it wasn't for Kong Long, he would have slapped Lu Ming to death with a single palm strike. The son of the Yuan Luo Hall master? That's even better. If I kill him, all of you will probably die with him. Come, we'll die together. Lu Ming said coldly. The old man and the two burly men were furious. They almost vomited blood from anger, but they didn't dare to act rashly. Lu Ming was right. Kong Long was favored by the Yuan Luo Hall master. The Yuan Luo Hall master was famous for his ruthlessness. If Kong Long really died, they would be buried with him. Kid, you're finished. Let me tell you, you have nowhere to go. I'm going to kill you and everyone in your pocket dimension. I won't let a single one of them go. All of them will die. Kong Long roared madly. He was furious when he thought about how he was captured by a native of a pocket dimension. Wouldn't he become a laughingstock if news of this were to spread? Impatient, Lu Ming said coldly. Then, he swung his palm like a blade and sent one of Kong Long's arms flying. Kong Long let out a miserable shriek. Although at his level, even if his body was torn apart, he would be able to recover very quickly. However, that kind of pain was real. How dare you? You're courting death. The others roared furiously. If you keep talking nonsense, I'll directly cripple his divine flame next time. Now, all of you move aside and let me leave. I'll naturally let him go. Lu Ming said coldly. Let the young master go first and we'll let you leave. The old man said, Do you think I'm stupid? If I let him go, you'd better kill me immediately and let me leave first. Otherwise, I can only cripple him first. Lu Ming's sovereign lord power transformed into a sharp sword that stabbed into Kong Long's dantian, wanting to destroy his divine flame. Get out of the way, you idiots, get out of the way. Let him go, let him go. Kong Long roared hysterically. He was scared. He was really scared. Once the divine flame was destroyed, his cultivation would be crippled. So what if he let one Lu Ming go? In his heart, even 10,000 or 100 million Lu Mings were not as important as a single strand of his hair. He swore that once he escaped, he would definitely send experts to capture Lu Ming and grind Lu Ming's bones into ashes. The people at the side had ugly expressions, but now, they could only step aside. The old man and the others retreated to the sides. Whoosh! Lu Ming carried Kong Long and rushed out of the encirclement. Let go of the young master now. The old man roared. When I'm safe, I'll let him go. Also, you'd better not chase after me. Otherwise, I'll cripple him immediately. Lu Ming said coldly. The old man and the others were infuriated and wanted to tear Lu Ming into pieces. However, they did not dare to chase after him and could only watch helplessly. Lu Ming flew at full speed and disappeared in front of them in the blink of an eye. Quick! Report this to the higher-ups. Send experts above level 7 Empty God Realm to kill that brat and save the young master. Quick! The old man and the others immediately took action and left the place. Their cultivation level was still not high enough. If there was an expert above the 7th level of the Void God Realm, even if Lu Ming took down Kong Long, such a person would be able to kill him quickly and rescue Kong Long before Lu Ming could react. The old man and the others left the place while Lu Ming carried Kong Long and flew away quickly. The space of the Eldritch universe is too stable and the gravity is shockingly strong. As Lu Ming flew, he wanted to tear open the space and travel through it. However, he realized that he could not do so. In the Heaven Realm, with his cultivation, the space would automatically tear open when he took a step forward. He could travel from one world to another in an instant. However, he realized that even if he used all his strength, he could not tear open the space. Not even a ripple was produced, let alone tear open the space. Moreover, the gravity here was shocking. Lu Ming's flying speed was a few hundred times slower than when he was in the Heaven Realm. What a rich divine qi! Following which, Lu Ming took a deep breath. He could feel the surging divine aura between heaven and earth converging toward him like a tide. Yes, it was divine qi, not origin qi. The space here was filled with divine qi, which was exactly the same as the Yellow Spring Mountain. However, the divine qi in the Yellow Spring Mountain could not be compared to here. It was much thinner. Although the Yellow Spring Mountain was sealed there from the Eldritch universe, it was normal for the divine qi to be thin after such a long time. The cultivation environment here is too good. If I cultivate here, my cultivation speed will be at least 10 times faster than in the Heaven Realm. In some good places, it might even be faster. Lu Ming thought. No wonder Kong Long was a demigod in less than 500 years of cultivation. The cultivation environment here was completely incomparable to the Heaven Realm. The Eldritch universe, the Greater Thousand World, was known as the Divine World. It was the end of all the Lesser Thousand Worlds. Kid, we're already here. Let me go. Kong Long yelled again. Shut up and let you go. As far as I know, the entire Dark Underworld planet is the territory of the Yuan Luo Palace. If I let you go, wouldn't I be courting death? When I'm safe, I'll let you go. Lu Ming said coldly. Kong Long's anger soared to the sky, but under such circumstances, he could only endure it. Lu Ming kept flying. He purposely flew in a secluded place. After half a day, he had lost track of how far he had flown. He flew into a barren mountain, and there was no one around. After flying there, Lu Ming stuffed Kong Long into the mountain river diagram and continued to fly forward. In the blink of an eye, another day had passed. Lu Ming flew into a barren mountain. Suddenly, a loud roar came from below. The roar was so loud that it shook the mountains. Then, a bloody mouth rushed out from below and bit at Lu Ming. Lu Ming was shocked. He unleashed all his strength and unleashed the Sovereign Tao to stomp down. The Sovereign Tao condensed into a giant purple gold foot and stomped on the mouth. With a loud boom, the purple gold foot collapsed and Lu Ming was sent flying by a powerful force. What a terrifying force! It's equivalent to a level 2 empty god realm martial artist. What is that? Lu Ming was shocked. With the help of this force, he flew quickly. Bang! Bang! The earth rumbled. Lu Ming saw a giant creature that was as big as a mountain. It stomped on the ground and chased after Lu Ming. Chapter 2573. It was a living creature that Lu Ming had never seen before. It was covered in scales and its hind legs were thick and strong. However, its front legs were very short and small, curled up in front of its body. Its head was like a lizard's and its mouth was huge and filled with terrifying fangs. Its hind legs were running at an astonishing speed. What surprised Lu Ming was that it was emitting a terrifying dragon power. Lu Ming did not bother with it and flew with all his might. Currently, he had not triggered the double combat strength. Hence, he was no match for a level 2 empty god. After flying for a while, the creature stopped when it saw that it could not catch up with Lu Ming. Lu Ming heaved a sigh of relief. After that, Lu Ming did not dare to be careless. He retracted his aura and slowed down. Who knew if there were other powerful beings in the barbaric mountain range? Indeed, after flying for a while, Lu Ming saw another huge creature. It was similar to the previous one, but its aura was more terrifying. It was at level 3 empty god realm. Fortunately, Lu Ming had discovered it early and avoided it from afar. Let's ask Senior Zhu Long. Lu Ming's heart stirred. A light and shadow flashed and Ancestral Gregon appeared. Zhu Long had been on guard. When he appeared, he immediately scanned the surroundings. He was relieved when he saw that Lu Ming was alone. Lu Ming, what happened? Did you escape? Zhu Long was surprised. This time, it was a gamble and the chances of success were not high. He was even prepared for Lu Ming to fail and they would all be arrested. At this moment, he saw that Lu Ming was alone in the middle of a barbaric mountain range. Naturally, he was extremely surprised. Senior, I was lucky to take the first step. Lu Ming immediately told Zhu Long about the situation. The son of Yuan Luo Hall Master? It seems like he is the son of Yuan Luo Hall Master. Zhu Long's eyes moved. He had stayed in the heaven realm for countless years, while Kong Long had only cultivated for about 500 years. Naturally, Ancestral Gregon did not know Kong Long. Lu Ming, you must get hold of Kong Long. We are still on the Dark Underworld star. The Yuan Luo Palace will definitely send a large number of experts to capture you. You might be useful at a critical moment. Ancestral Dragon said. Senior, how do we leave planet Dark Underworld? Lu Ming asked. The Dark Underworld star is huge. It's much bigger than the Heaven Realm, the Primordial Realm, and the Evil God Realm combined. If you want to leave the Dark Underworld star and go to other planets, you have to take the space teleportation formation. Ancestral Dragon said. In that case, we can use Kong Long to threaten them, and then use the teleportation formation to leave this place. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Ancestral Gregon shook his head and sighed. There must be a terrifying existence guarding the teleportation formation. If you encounter an existence above level 7 empty god realm, I'm afraid Kong Long will be useless. Such an existence is too powerful. Before you can react, they will kill you. Even before you kill Kong Long, they will destroy your soul. So powerful! Lu Ming frowned. The difference between each level of the empty god realm is too great. If you encounter a true god, they can kill you with a thought. Ancestral Dragon said. It seems like my strength is at the bottom of the chaotic universe. Lu Ming felt helpless. In the heaven realm, the primordial realm, and the evil god realm, his strength was at the top. However, when he came to the chaotic universe, he realized that his strength was too weak. Any expert or a giant beast in the wild was stronger than him. He still had a long way to go in his cultivation. The martial god realm was only the first step of cultivation. Entering the martial god realm was the second step. The empty god realm was only the starting point of the second step. There were still true gods, heavenly gods, and supreme beings. Each one was more powerful than the last. He wondered how powerful a supreme being would be. He might be able to destroy a small thousand world like the heaven realm, the primordial realm, and the evil god realm with a breath. Senior, is it possible to cross the starry sky and go to other planets? Lu Ming asked after calming himself down. Cross the starry sky? Ancestral Dragon shook his head and said with a wry smile, the starry sky is full of dangers. Ordinary empty gods will explode and die as soon as they enter the starry sky. True gods can stay in the starry sky for a short while, but they can't cross the starry sky. If you want to cross the starry sky and go from one planet to another, you need to be at least a heavenly god. Heavenly god realm. Lu Ming was speechless and gave up on the idea. However, you don't have to rely on your cultivation to cross the starry sky. In the chaotic universe, there's a kind of starship that can cross the starry sky. However, it's too precious and ordinary people can't have it. Ancestral Dragon said. What should I do? Lu Ming's brows furrowed deeply. He couldn't go to the teleportation formation. If he couldn't cross the starry sky, how could he leave this place? He didn't have much time left. He only had a year. If he couldn't leave in a year, the small world in his body would merge with the chaotic universe. He wasn't the only one. All the people in the heaven region who practiced the rules of order and had cultivated a small world would have to do the same. At that time, there would be a huge commotion. If he stayed in Dark Underworld Star, Yuan Luo Hall would sense it. It was too dangerous to stay in Dark Underworld Star. He had to leave Dark Underworld Star within a year. In the distance, a huge creature roared and walked around the mountains, causing the mountains to shake. A wild beast. Ancestral Dragon looked at the huge creature and muttered. A wild beast? Lu Ming was confused. Wasn't it a divine beast? In the chaotic universe, there are two types of beasts. One is a divine beast and the other is a wild beast. Divine beasts are spiritual. Like humans, they have created various cultivation skills. Various races gather and are scattered across the chaotic universe, forming powerful forces. On the other hand, wild beasts have low spirituality. They cultivate based on their instincts and like to stay in the wild mountains. Actually, in the beginning, wild beasts and divine beasts were the same race. However, as time passed, they slowly diverged. Ancestral Dragon explained. Lu Ming nodded. He understood. This is a wild dragon. It is an extremely powerful existence among the wild beasts. It is said that in the beginning, wild dragons and true dragons were of the same race. Ancestral Gragon explained. Then, the two of them discussed for a while. They didn't have a better idea for the time being. They planned to go to some places where people gathered and gather information before making the next step. Then, Ancestral Dragon returned to Lu Ming's small world. Lu Ming continued to fly. Lu Ming took more than 10 days to fly out of the mountain range. Then, he concealed his aura and changed his appearance. He randomly chose a direction and flew forward. The dark underworld planet was too big. Even though Lu Ming's speed here was 100 times slower than when he was in the heaven realm, with Lu Ming's current cultivation, he was still astonishingly fast. However, Lu Ming still took a few more days to see a city. Chapter 2574. A majestic city stood on the ground. It looked even bigger than Two Realm City. Lu Ming walked into the city through a huge city gate. So many races. After entering the city gate, Lu Ming discovered that there were people coming and going on the streets of the city. They were divided into different races. At a glance, Lu Ming found at least dozens of races. Although there were also humans, they were the least. The chaotic astral river has gathered many different races. It's true, Lu Ming thought. During these days, Lu Ming would chat with Ancestral Graygon from time to time. Ancestral Graygon also told Lu Ming many things about the primitive universe. The great desolate universe was boundless. It was simply too big. There were countless planets with life. In the primitive universe, there were countless races, each occupying a large territory. These territories were called star fields. There were many galaxies under each star field, and there were many planets under each galaxy. The number of habitable planets under each galaxy was astonishing. The Yuan Luo Palace was located at the edge of the primitive universe, in a place called the Chaotic Astral River. The Chaotic Astral River could be said to be one of the most barren galaxies in the primitive universe. Those powerful forces did not care about this place at all. Therefore, it became a rather special galaxy. Those who could not survive, escaped criminals, or were being hunted, etc., would all come to the Chaotic Astral River. Therefore, countless races gathered in the Chaotic Astral River. This place was full of chaos and killing could be seen everywhere. Of course, the Chaotic Astral River had formed many forces of different sizes. These forces could be seen conquering each other. When Lu Ming first heard that this place was one of the most barren places in the primitive universe, he was really shocked. In Lu Ming's opinion, the cultivation environment here was already extremely amazing. It was dozens of times better than the heaven realm. If such a place was the most barren place in the primitive universe, then how amazing would those places with good cultivation environments be? Lu Ming was looking forward to it. He felt that the primitive universe would be more exciting than the heaven realm, primordial realm, and evil god realm. What about the Taishu dynasty? Lu Ming couldn't help but think of the Taishu dynasty mentioned by White Fang. The master of the Yellow Springs Mountain, Jianghu, came from the Taishu dynasty. Where was the Taishu dynasty? Lu Ming had asked Ancestral Graygon about this, but Ancestral Graygon shook his head. He had never heard of the Taishu dynasty. Ancestral Graygon was born and raised in the Chaotic Star River. According to him, he had never left the Chaotic Star River in his entire life. Lu Ming wandered around the streets. Here, there were all kinds of races. Naturally, no one paid attention to Lu Ming. Looks like there aren't too many void gods either? Lu Ming looked around and discovered that most of the people on the street were martial emperors. In the primitive universe, it was the void prying stage, the true void stage, the profound void stage, and the void transformation stage. There weren't many people who had reached the void god realm. Lu Ming saw the most void transformation realm and demigods. It seemed that in the primitive universe, it wasn't easy to break through to the martial god realm. Lu Ming looked around and found an inn to stay in. In the next few days, Lu Ming would wander around the city or go to some restaurants to ask for information. Lu Ming knew that there were only teleportation formations in the two largest cities. However, there were many experts from the Yuan Luo Palace guarding those two cities. Should I take the risk? Lu Ming thought. He wanted to disguise himself and see if he could take the opportunity to fool the teleportation formation in front of him. However, he wasn't confident. Although his divine breath technique worked in the heaven realm, there were too many experts in the primitive universe. Who knew if those experts would be able to see through the disguise of his divine breath technique? Moreover, as Lu Ming's cultivation increased, the effect of the divine breath technique became less and less effective. It was harder and harder to conceal his aura. This was natural. The stronger one's cultivation was, the stronger one's aura would be. It would be harder to conceal it unless there was a more exquisite way to conceal one's aura. I'll observe for a while and see if there are any other ways. If there's no other way, I'll have to take the risk. Lu Ming made up his mind. In the following days, Lu Ming stayed in the city and cultivated while thinking of a way. Lu Ming's cultivation speed was indeed much faster than in the heaven realm. Lu Ming often used Jianghu's portrait to comprehend the sovereign intent and improved rapidly. However, there was a seal on Jianghu's portrait. Lu Ming still couldn't open it. It was probably because his cultivation wasn't enough. In the blink of an eye, 2 months had passed. In 2 months, Lu Ming's comprehension of the sovereign Tao had improved. It was comparable to 10 years of cultivation in the heaven realm. He believed that it wouldn't take long for his cultivation to increase again. On this day, Lu Ming was walking on the street when he suddenly looked at the sky. In the sky, a few streams of light flashed past. They were a few empty God realm experts. Recently, there have been more and more experts in the vicinity. Indeed, they seemed to be looking for someone. Around him, many people were discussing. Could it be that the experts of the Yuan Luo Palace are looking for me? Lu Ming thought. He had taken down Kong Long, so the Yuan Luo Palace definitely wouldn't let him go. It was normal for them to send a large number of experts to hunt him down. After that, Lu Ming became more careful. However, in the next few days, Lu Ming discovered that the number of experts in the city had decreased instead of increasing. Some people even walked into the city and looked around with sharp eyes. It was as if the other party had locked onto the city. Lu Ming returned to the inn and summoned Ancestral Gragon. He told him about this matter. Oh no, the other party must have locked onto you. You just came out of the heaven realm and haven't assimilated with the chaotic universe. There must be a strong aura of the heaven realm on your body. It won't be difficult for the other party to lock onto you as long as they spend some time studying you. Ancestral Gragon's face changed drastically. Lu Ming's face also changed. However, the other party didn't find you immediately. This means that they can only determine the general area and can't pinpoint your exact location. Now, you have to leave this place quickly. Ancestral Gragon said. All right. Lu Ming didn't hesitate and kept Ancestral Gragon into his small world. Lu Ming directly left the inn and headed out of the city. Soon, Lu Ming exited the city gate. He randomly chose a direction and flew forward. Stop! After Lu Ming flew for a while, 2 people flew toward him and one of them reprimanded him. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. They were 2 middle-aged men and both of them were empty gods. One of them was holding a crystal ball in his hand. At this moment, the crystal ball was shining with a faint light. The 2 middle-aged men flew towards Lu Ming. When they got close to Lu Ming, the crystal ball suddenly shone brightly. It's him! The 2 middle-aged men's eyes lit up. Swoosh! Lu Ming dashed out and flew in another direction at high speed. Stop right there! Chase after him! The 2 middle-aged burly men chased after Lu Ming at high speed. Chapter 2575. The crystal balls in the 2 middle-aged men's hands could clearly sense Lu Ming's aura. As soon as the crystal balls got close to him, they lit up. Lu Ming's face darkened as he flew at top speed. However, as time passed, the distance between him and the 2 middle-aged men narrowed. Brat, you can't escape, one of the men said malevolently with an oppressive aura. The 2 middle-aged men were at level 2 empty god realm. Under normal circumstances, Lu Ming would not be a match for them. As such, Lu Ming constantly activated the battle character art as he flew. Boom! There seemed to be an explosion in his body. The battle character art had successfully activated the double combat strength. Lu Ming did not attack immediately but continued to fly. In the blink of an eye, both parties were far away from the city and flew into a forest. Swoosh! Suddenly, Lu Ming's figure, which was flying at high speed, stopped abruptly. Not only that, but he also dashed toward the 2 burly middle-aged men. A combat sword appeared in his hands and he slashed with it. The 2 middle-aged burly men did not expect Lu Ming to suddenly stop running. Instead, he charged toward them. They could not stop themselves in time and dashed toward Lu Ming. Boom! Boom! The 2 middle-aged men also made their moves. They each made a move. However, the situation was too sudden. They could only display at most 50% of their battle prowess. Level 2 empty god realm martial artists could only use 50% of their combat strength. They could not block Lu Ming's attack at all. One of the middle-aged men did not even have the chance to scream as he was slashed into 2 by Lu Ming's sword. Not good. The other burly man hastily retreated. Kill! Lu Ming held his combat sword and charged towards the middle-aged man with cold killing intent. The middle-aged man finally recovered and took out a combat sword to slash at Lu Ming. Clang! The combat sword and saber collided and the middle-aged man retreated. Although Lu Ming, who had activated the battle character art, was not a match for a level 3 Empty God Realm martial artist, he had the upper hand against a level 2 Empty God Realm martial artist. After knocking back the middle-aged man with one move, Lu Ming continued to attack his opponent, unleashing a barrage of attacks. The middle-aged man's roar was like thunder. Naturally, he was unwilling to be killed, so he fought back with all his might. Clang, clang, clang. The two of them continued to clash. However, Lu Ming's battle prowess was ultimately stronger. The middle-aged man was no match for him. After a dozen or so exchanges, his arms were torn apart and he was sent flying backwards, spitting out blood. Lu Ming became one with his sword and rushed over, killing the middle-aged man. "You're courting death." At this moment, two figures flew over from the direction of the city, emitting cold, killing intent. Clearly, the commotion caused by the battle here had alerted the other experts of the Yuan Luo Palace. Lu Ming's face darkened. With a wave of his hand, he collected the storage rings of the two middle-aged men, then turned into a beam of light and flew away at top speed. The two people who came later were extremely powerful. One of them was at level 2 Empty God Realm, while the other had a terrifying aura. He was at level 3 Empty God Realm. This was not the Heaven region. Lu Ming could mobilize the power of the Heaven region, the Yuan realm, and the Evil God realm. In this place, Lu Ming was definitely not a match for a level 3 Empty God realm expert. Lu Ming flew at top speed, with the two people chasing after him. The two of them looked middle-aged. One of them was a burly man with a horn on his head, while the other was a human with disheveled hair. The human man's cultivation was at level 3 Empty God realm. In the blink of an eye, the two parties had flown for tens of thousands of miles. Swoosh! At this moment, a figure suddenly dashed out of a mountain peak in front of Lu Ming. It was a burly old man. The old man was also holding a crystal ball in his hands. At this moment, the crystal ball was reflecting light. "Ah, I've searched high and low, only to find it by chance." The burly old man laughed and threw a punch at Lu Ming. A terrifying fist force pressed down on Lu Ming. Rumble! Before the fist force arrived, it brought along a terrifying wave, causing Lu Ming to hold his breath. Lu Ming unleashed all his strength and slashed out with his sword. Buzz, buzz, buzz. The combat sword and the fist force collided, causing the combat sword to vibrate violently. Lu Ming felt a violent force surging towards him. He could not help but take a few steps back as the blood in his body churned. Level 3 Empty God Realm is indeed powerful. Lu Ming steadied himself and looked solemn. With his current combat strength, he was unable to deal with a level 3 Empty God Realm expert. Unless his cultivation had broken through to a level 3 Heavenly Emperor and the battle character skill had doubled his combat strength, he would be able to fight against a level 3 Empty God Realm expert. The moment Lu Ming stopped, the two people behind caught up and surrounded Lu Ming. Two level 3 Empty God Realm experts and one level 2 Empty God Realm expert. Hee kid, let's see how you're going to escape this time." The single-horned burly man sneered. Lu Ming frowned. He was no match for the two level 3 Empty God Realm experts. He wanted to use Kong Long to threaten them. With Kong Long in his hand, he did not believe that they would dare to attack him. Kill! However, at this moment, the burly man with messy hair struck directly. He was very decisive. A long spear appeared in his hand. A terrifying spear gleam, accompanied by a terrifying whistling sound, pierced toward Lu Ming. Without giving Lu Ming a chance to react, Lu Ming could only swing his sword to block the attack. Ding! The combat sword and the long spear collided and Lu Ming retreated quickly. Kill! Kill! The burly old man and the single-horned burly man attacked Lu Ming. The old man's fist force was terrifying. He was wearing a pair of gloves that were obviously a sacred weapon and each of his punches was terrifying. Lu Ming tried his best to block a few blows and his body was in pain as though it was going to split open. Just as Lu Ming was at a disadvantage, there was a sudden change. The burly man with messy hair suddenly changed his spear force. He was no longer attacking Lu Ming but the burly old man. The burly old man had never expected that the burly old man would suddenly attack him, and he was caught off guard. The long spear pierced through the burly old man's glabella, and the burly old man died. Lu Ming was stunned, and the single-horned burly man was stunned as well. He then shouted, "Song Emma, what are you doing?" The burly man with messy hair responded to the single-horned burly man with a cold shout. He took the opportunity to pull out his long spear and swept it across the single-horned burly man's body. The single-horned burly man screamed as his body was split into two, and he was on the verge of death. "Go down and find the answer yourself," the burly man with messy hair said coldly. He then thrust his spear again and ended the life of the single-horned burly man. The burly old man and the single-horned burly man were killed by the burly man with messy hair in an instant. Lu Ming retreated cautiously. He was very curious as to why the other party would suddenly kill each other. The burly man with messy hair looked at Lu Ming with a complicated look in his eyes. He seemed to be reminiscing. He pondered for a moment and said, "Are you from the heaven realm?" Chapter 2576. The man with messy hair suddenly asked Lu Ming if he was from the heaven realm, which made Lu Ming's eyes move. "You know about the heaven realm?" Lu Ming asked. Ever since Lu Ming came to the chaotic universe, the people he met didn't call him the heaven realm. They just called him the small thousand world and called Lu Ming a native. But this man with messy hair knew about the heaven realm. Lu Ming was surprised. "Because I'm also from the heaven realm." The man with messy hair smiled. "What?" Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. This was really beyond his expectations. "To be exact, I'm from the heaven realm. But I left the heaven realm in the primordial age. I don't know how many years have passed." The man with messy hair sighed. He should be someone who reached the demigod realm in the primordial age. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. In the primordial age, anyone who reached the demigod realm would leave the heaven realm and come to the chaotic universe to break through. Lu Ming didn't expect to meet someone from the heaven realm here. This might be the reason why the other party killed the horned man and the burly old man. Lu Ming relaxed a little. "I'm Song Mo." The man introduced himself and said, "I heard that many years ago, the passage between the heaven realm and the dark underworld star was sealed. How did you come out?" "You don't know what happened recently?" Lu Ming asked. "I don't know." Song Mo shook his head and said, "I received an order. The young master of the Yuan Luo Palace, Kong Long, was secretly kidnapped by someone. We were in charge of finding the person who kidnapped Kong Long. I only sensed the strong aura of the heaven realm from your body when I saw you. I will never forget it." "I see." Lu Ming nodded. "It's like this." Then, Lu Ming briefly told him what happened in the heaven realm and the evil god realm. "I see. I didn't expect so many things to happen in the heaven realm. Sigh, unfortunately, we can't protect the heaven realm." Song Mo sighed. "Senior, why did you join the Yuan Luo Palace when they treated the heaven realms so badly?" Lu Ming asked. This was also what he found strange. That was why he was still wary of the Song dynasty. Sigh. Song Mo sighed and said, "It's all because of the Yuan Luo Hall. The Yuan Luo Palace treated the heaven realm and the primordial realm as pastures. They used the divine beasts of the human race as medicinal ingredients to refine medicine. I only found out about this after I left the heaven realm. Moreover, in the evil god world of the heaven domain and the primordial realm, anyone who has reached the half-god realm will be controlled by the Yuan Luo Hall once they step out and come to the dark underworld star. Many restrictions will be placed on their souls, and they can only obey their orders. Otherwise, they will suffer a fate worse than death." At this point, Song Mo's eyes revealed a trace of savagery. "Damn it, I can't believe it." Lu Ming also shouted coldly. Since ancient times, almost all the half-gods who came out of the heaven realm and the primordial realm have been controlled by the Yuan Luo Hall and have become their slaves. If there's anything dangerous, they will send us to do it. If things don't go their way, they will control the restrictions to torture us. And we can't escape at all. Once we leave a certain range of the Yuan Luo Hall, the restrictions will activate and we will suffer a fate worse than death. Song Mo said again. At the end, his voice was filled with helplessness and desolation. Lu Ming's face was also gloomy. He could understand Song Mo's feelings. In the heaven realm and the evil god world, they had reached the half-god realm and stood at the peak. They came to the Eldritch universe with great ambition, wanting to reach a higher realm. But in reality, they had become the Yuan Luo Hall's slaves. How sad was that? You should be cultivating the law system. I have met a few half-gods from the heaven realm who cultivated the law system and cultivated a small world. But once they come to the Eldritch universe, the small world will merge with the Eldritch universe after a year. You must escape from the dark underworld star within a year. Otherwise, you will be found by the Yuan Luo Hall's experts. Song Mo said, Senior, do you have any ideas? Lu Ming asked. There are only two ways to leave the dark underworld star. One is to take the starry sky teleportation formation. The other is to leave on a starry sky battleship. But now the entire dark underworld star is looking for you. The teleportation formation is guarded by terrifying experts. Once you go, you will be discovered. And a starry sky battleship is very precious and rare. I don't have one. Song Mo's brows furrowed. Lu Ming was silent. The current situation was not good. He had wanted to go to the teleportation formation to see if he could fool them. But now, the other party could sense the heaven realm aura on him. If he went, he would only be walking into a trap and die. What should I do? Lu Ming frowned. Now, we can only try our luck. Song Mo pondered for a moment, then suddenly said, Try our luck? Lu Ming was puzzled. That's right. Song Mo nodded and said, Throughout the years, most of the demigods that emerged from our celestial dimension have been controlled by the Origin Azura Hall. However, one person managed to escape successfully and escape the Origin Azura Hall's control. Perhaps you've heard of that person. The people of the celestial dimension call him the Technique Ancestor. The Ancestor of Techniques. Lu Ming's eyes flashed. He had heard of the Ancestor of Techniques. He was a legendary figure in the heaven realm. The Ancestor of Techniques was extremely talented and rare. At the end of the ancient era, the Ancestor of Techniques appeared out of nowhere and created the law cultivation system. Furthermore, the law cultivation system rapidly expanded. In the end, the law cultivation system even defeated the ancient era cultivation system and became the mainstream cultivation system of the heaven realm. The Ancestor of Techniques' life could be written into a legend. Later on, when the Ancestor of Techniques reached the demigod realm, he left the heaven realm. The current heavenly Thunder Emperor of the heaven realm was one of the Ancestor of Techniques' disciples. The Ancestor of Techniques broke away from the Yuan Luo Hall's control and risked his life to cultivate. In the end, he reached the true God realm and returned to the chaotic galaxy. He created a force and gathered many experts to fight against the Yuan Luo Hall. Song Mo said. Lu Ming nodded. Anyone from the heaven realm who knew the truth would want to destroy the Yuan Luo Hall. It was normal for one to fight against the Yuan Luo Hall when they had mastered the law cultivation system. For so many years, the Ancestor of Techniques' forces have become stronger and stronger. He has been fighting against the Yuan Luo Hall non-stop. On the dark underworld planet, there is a star iron mine that produces precious star iron. I heard that the Ancestor of Techniques' forces attacked the star iron mine some time ago. If you go to the star iron mine and are lucky enough to meet the Ancestor of Techniques' forces, you can leave the dark underworld planet with them. This is the only way now. Take this. Song Mo waved his hand and a jade talisman flew towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming took it and scanned it with his spiritual consciousness. He found that it was a huge map. This is the map of the dark underworld planet. You can find the exact location of the star iron mine by following the map. I can't stay with you for too long or I'll be exposed, Song Mo said. Chapter 2577. Thank you, Senior. Lu Ming thanked him sincerely. You're welcome. You carry the hope of the heavenly boundary. I hope you can escape. Song Mo said with a smile. Senior, how can I break the seal on your body? I have mastered the Tao of Sovereign. Perhaps I can help you break the seal. Lu Ming said. His Tao of Sovereign was extremely mysterious. It might work. You've mastered the Tao of Sovereign. Song Emo was taken aback, extremely shocked. Not many people had mastered the Tao of Sovereign even in the primitive universe. Every one of them was a peerless genius whose name shook the world. Lu Ming had mastered such power. Ah, good. You're really the hope of the heavenly boundary. Song Emo laughed. His face was full of smiles. After a while, Song Emo said, "But your cultivation is too low. The seal on my body was personally placed by the Yuan Luo Hall Master. Even if you have mastered the Tao of Sovereign, I'm afraid you'll have to wait until you reach the true immortal realm to break the seal." True immortal realm? Lu Ming muttered. As expected, it wasn't that simple. If it was that simple, the ancestor of technique would have secretly helped them break the seal. Go, be careful. I'll think of a way to lure away some of the people from the Yuan Luo Hall nearby. Song Emo said. Senior, Lu Ming will remember today's kindness. If Lu Ming escapes from danger, I'll definitely come back to save you. Lu Ming clasped his fists with a determined gaze. All right, I believe in you. Song Emo smiled. Then, Lu Ming used his movement technique and turned into a ray of light, leaving the place. After Lu Ming left, Song Emo destroyed the traces at the scene and left as well. Lu Ming flew for a while before landing on the ground. After all, flying in the air was too big of a target. Moreover, Lu Ming didn't have a fixed direction. He would go east, then west. He moved in a zigzag manner to avoid being detected by the Yuan Luo Hall. Although it was slower, it was at least safer. Just like that, Lu Ming followed the map given by Song Emo and headed toward the Star Iron Mine. The people of the Yuan Luo Palace could only capture Lu Ming's approximate location with the crystal ball. They couldn't pinpoint his exact position. Now that Lu Ming was moving quickly and constantly changing directions, it was even more difficult for the other party to capture his precise position. Therefore, Lu Ming did not encounter any experts from the Yuan Luo Hall in the following days. However, Planet Dark Underworld was too big. Lu Ming's speed was already slow. It took him more than 2 months to reach the Star Iron Mine. It was getting closer and closer to the 1-year deadline. There were less than 8 months left. After arriving here, Lu Ming became even more cautious. Because there was a terrifying expert guarding the Star Iron Mine. There was no doubt that there was a rank 7 ethereal god realm expert. Lu Ming did not dare to be careless. Lu Ming restrained his aura and carefully approached the Star Iron Mine to check out the situation. This area was an endless mountain range. There were towering mountains everywhere. Lu Ming hid in one of the mountains and looked into the distance. In the distance, there were mountains and a huge Star Iron Mine appeared in front of him. There were many figures mining there. Some experts were patrolling. There was nothing out of the ordinary. Senior Song Emo and the people of the Dharma Ancestors' force came to attack this Star Iron Mine. But now it has been a few months. Are the people of the Dharma Ancestors still here? Even if they are, how can I find them? Will they attack again? Lu Ming pondered and thoughts flashed through his mind. He decided to wait nearby. Then, Lu Ming waited near the Star Iron Mine. However, he did not stay in one place. Instead, he constantly changed his position to avoid being discovered by the other party. In the blink of an eye, a month had passed. However, there was no movement. The Star Iron Mine had been operating peacefully. Have the people of the Dharma Ancestor left? Lu Ming frowned. Time was running out. Not long after, Lu Ming changed his direction again and carefully went to another mountain peak. Suddenly, Lu Ming felt a chill in his heart. He felt a sense of danger. Lu Ming took a step forward and suddenly moved 100 meters to the right. A sword light landed on the place where Lu Ming had just stepped, cutting a deep gully in the ground. You can dodge my sword. Not bad. A clear voice sounded. Lu Ming turned around and saw a woman. This woman had jade-like skin and exquisite facial features. She was a stunning beauty. She had a thick ponytail and was wearing a tight outfit. She held a long sword in her hand and looked quite heroic. Lu Ming's eyes turned cold. Had he been discovered by the people of the Yuan Luo Palace? Lu Ming quickly retreated. At the same time, he kept using the battle formula. He wanted to trigger the double combat strength of the battle formula. You are just a transformation void martial realm martial artist. How dare you run away in front of me? Stay. The woman shouted. Her body was like a flickering shadow as she rushed toward Lu Ming. She waved her long sword and rays of bright sword light slashed toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming's battle sword appeared in his hand and he slashed out continuously. Bam, bam, bam. A series of explosions sounded. Lu Ming's arm went numb and he quickly retreated. What a powerful combat strength. Lu Ming was slightly shocked. This woman's cultivation was only at rank 1 empty god realm. However, her divine power was dense and powerful. Her attack strength was shocking. She could actually suppress Lu Ming. After forcing Lu Ming to retreat, the woman charged toward Lu Ming again. She waved her long sword and hundreds of rays of sword light shot out toward Lu Ming. Boom! At that moment, Lu Ming finally triggered the double combat strength of the battle formula. His battle sword vibrated and rays of sword light shot out and collided with the woman. Clang, clang. The speed of their attacks was shocking. In the blink of an eye, they had exchanged dozens of blows. After dozens of blows, the two of them retreated a few hundred meters. They were evenly matched and it was difficult to determine the winner. Could she be a supreme talent from Yuan Luo Hall? Lu Ming thought to himself. Now that he had triggered the double combat strength of the battle formula, his combat strength was very close to rank 3 empty god realm and he could kill a rank 2 empty god realm martial artist. However, this woman was only at rank 1 empty god realm and she was able to fight him to a draw. Lu Ming was shocked. However, he did not know that the woman's heart was in turmoil. How can this be? How can his combat strength be so powerful? The woman shouted in her heart. Lu Ming's cultivation was only at the transformation void martial realm and he was far from reaching the empty god realm. However, his combat strength was so strong that he could fight with her. It was unbelievable. The Sovereign Tao. The power that he possesses is the Sovereign Tao. There is actually a genius who possesses the Sovereign Tao in Star Dark Underworld. Yuan Luo Hall actually has such a supreme talent. He must be eliminated. Thoughts flashed through the woman's mind. Then she gritted her teeth and charged toward Lu Ming with her long sword. However, at the instant that woman attacked, their expressions all changed. In the distance, a few rays of light shot out from the star iron mine. Obviously, the battle here had been discovered. Chapter 2578. Let's go! Lu Ming turned around and increased his speed to the maximum. He thought that the woman's helpers had arrived and it would be dangerous if he stayed any longer. The woman was surprised. She thought that Lu Ming would try his best to hold her back when the experts from the star iron mine discovered them. She didn't expect that Lu Ming would run faster than her. Could it be that he's not from the Yuan Luo Palace? A thought flashed through the woman's mind before she left as well. Not long after they left, a few figures appeared at the place where they had fought. Looking at the ravines on the ground, one of the old men sneered. It seems like the righteous army hasn't given up and is still lingering nearby. Hee, their people have been captured by us. Naturally, they want to save them. Let's wait and catch them all in one fell swoop. Another old woman sneered. Their figures flashed and they disappeared from the place. Lu Ming ran for more than 100,000 miles before he stopped and found a place to rest. I'll observe here for a while. If it doesn't work, I'll have to find a hidden place on the dark underworld star and merge the small world with the chaotic universe. Lu Ming thought. Although there was a great risk in doing so and there was a high chance that the experts from the Yuan Luo Palace would discover them, he had no other choice. After resting for 2 days, Lu Ming headed towards the star iron mine. Clang, clang. Lu Ming walked for a while before he heard the sound of an intense battle ahead. It was obvious that someone was fighting. Lu Ming's eyes moved. He retracted his aura and carefully approached. In front of him, 3 middle-aged men were attacking a woman. It's her. Lu Ming's eyes moved. The lady who was besieged was actually the beautiful lady who had attacked Lu Ming previously. At this moment, the woman was being attacked by 3 men and was in a dangerous situation. 2 of the 3 men were at the 2nd level of the empty god realm, while the other was at the 3rd level of the empty god realm. Although the woman was strong, she was no match for the 3 men. A chick from the Righteous Law Army. Not bad, she's quite tasty. I'll take her down and enjoy her. The rank 3 empty god realm man wielded a metal rod. When he waved it around, a loud rumbling sound could be heard. With one strike, the woman's body trembled violently and she was sent flying. She spat out a mouthful of blood and her face was pale as snow. Yuan Luo Palace bastard. The woman gritted her teeth and tried her best to rush to the side, but the 3 men held her tightly, making it impossible for her to escape. So she's not from the Yuan Luo Palace, but from the Jingtian army. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. It was truly a case of wearing out iron shoes in a fruitless search, only to find it by chance without any effort. Previously, Song Mo had said that the force created by the ancestor of techniques was called the Righteous Army. Since this girl was from the Righteous Sky Army, she must not die in the hands of the Yuan Luo Palace. Lu Ming began to use the battle formula, triggering double combat power. This time, his luck was pretty good. Lu Ming only needed to use it 3 times before he was able to trigger double combat power. Lu Ming cautiously approached. Then he suddenly erupted with power and charged forward. Who is it? The moment Lu Ming made his move, the other party discovered him. A level 2 empty god realm man shouted and turned around to attack. However, the other party attacked hastily and was unable to block Lu Ming's attack. He was sent flying by Lu Ming's sword. Then, Lu Ming continued to step forward and attacked continuously with his battle sword. Blood splattered everywhere. That man was killed by Lu Ming. After killing this burly man, Lu Ming charged toward another burly man at level 2 Void God Realm. It's him! After seeing Lu Ming, the young woman's eyes lit up. Her figure flashed rapidly as she dodged the attack of the level 3 Empty God Realm expert. Without the attacks of the 2 level 2 Empty God Realm experts, the pressure on the young woman was greatly reduced. After dodging a few attacks, her situation became much better. Brat, you're courting death. The level 3 Empty God Realm man roared and charged towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming turned around and left. He did not want to fight the other party head-on. The man roared and chased after the young woman. However, the young woman had already run far away. Lu Ming did not continue fighting. He sprinted at full speed, then made a turn and chased after the lady. After the 2 men chased for a while, they seemed to have some misgivings and did not dare to continue. Instead, they stopped and spread the news. Lu Ming followed the young woman for hundreds of thousands of miles. At this moment, the young woman stopped and looked at Lu Ming. She said, "Although you saved me, you don't have to keep following me. What do you want?" "You're from the Righteous Army?" Lu Ming asked. The young woman's expression changed slightly. She said, "That's right. I'm very curious. For you, the people from Yuan Luo Palace seem to want to deal with you too. You're really from the Righteous Army." Lu Ming was overjoyed. He said, "I'm from the same hometown as the ancestor of techniques. Can you bring me to see him?" "Ancestor of techniques? Who's that?" The young woman frowned in confusion. You don't know the ancestor of techniques? He's the one who founded the Righteous Army." Lu Ming said, "You're talking about the general? You're from the same hometown as the general?" The young woman was puzzled. "Yes, I'm the real deal. The entire planet Dark Underworld is chasing after me." Lu Ming said, "It doesn't matter if you're really from the same hometown as the general, but it's a fact that you're enemies with Yuan Luo Palace. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. However, it's impossible to bring you to see the general now." The young woman shook her head and sighed. "What's going on?" Lu Ming had a bad premonition. Last time, some of us attacked the planet Dark Underworld Star Iron Mine with the intention of stealing their ore. However, we didn't expect them to prepare an ambush beforehand. Some of us died in battle, some were captured, and only a few escaped. The senior who controlled the star warship was also captured. Now, the star warship is in their hands. If we want to escape from the planet Dark Underworld, we must first rescue those from the Righteous Army and take back the star warship. The young woman said. Lu Ming was speechless. It wasn't easy for him to meet the Righteous Army, but he didn't expect them to end up in the same situation as him. They were also trapped and couldn't escape. Now, There are many experts from Yuan Luo Palace in the Star Iron Mine. They're waiting for us to attack so that they can catch all of us in one fell swoop. During this period of time, I've been nearby checking for news. The young woman said. Lu Ming finally understood why the young woman had attacked him the moment she saw him. She must have thought that he was from Yuan Luo Palace and wanted to capture him to get information. What's the cultivation of the strongest expert in the Star Iron Mine? Lu Ming pondered for a while and asked. Level 9 Empty God Realm. The young woman said. What's the cultivation of the people who escaped? Lu Ming asked again. There's also a level 9 Empty God Realm expert, but there's only one of them. However, there are a few level 9 empty gods in the Star Iron Mine. Therefore, we're no match for them. The young woman said. There's also a level 9 empty god realm expert. That's enough. I can help you rescue them and take back the star warship. Lu Ming laughed loudly. Chapter 2579. You have a way? The young lady was puzzled. She did not believe him. Lu Ming had a way to save the righteous army and take back the Starry Sky battleship? How was that possible? Although Lu Ming was extremely talented, his cultivation was still low. His combat strength was on par with hers. What could he do? There were at least a few level 9 empty god realm experts in the Star Iron Mine. As for level 7 and 8 empty god realm experts, Lu Ming would be killed with a slap. Sometimes, you don't need to use force to save people. I'll show you something and you'll know. Lu Ming smiled and waved his hand. A person appeared in his hand. This person was the young master of Yuan Luo Palace, Kong Long. A person. At first, the young woman was stunned, but then her beautiful eyes suddenly widened. This is the young master of Yuan Luo Palace, Kong Long? The young lady exclaimed softly. She had not expected to meet Kong Long here. Have you seen him before? Lu Ming asked. A few times. The young lady said. She seemed to have thought of something and a bright smile appeared on her face. Kong Long had been locked up by Lu Ming for half a year and was in a daze. He was stunned for a while before he could see the situation clearly. Brat, you're dead. Let me tell you you're dead. Let me go now or I'll kill you. Tong Shi, what are you doing here? Kong Long roared when he saw Lu Ming. Then, he looked at the young lady and was stunned. Kong Long, I didn't expect you to end up like this. Looks like I'm lucky. Tong Shi looked at Kong Long and sneered. What are you trying to do? Kong Long's face turned pale. You talk too much. Lu Ming said. He waved his hand and kept Kong Long again. My cultivation is not high enough. Even with Kong Long, I'll be killed in an instant if I meet an expert above level 7 Empty God Realm. However, you have a level 9 Empty God Realm expert. If you let him exchange Kong Long for the Righteous Army and the Starry Sky battleship, you'll be confident. Lu Ming said. This was his plan. Kong Long wouldn't be of much use to him. If he could exchange him for the Righteous Sky Army's people and starships, then he could leave planet Dark Underworld. Moreover, he would be indebted to the Righteous Sky Army, so why not? Alright, if I can succeed this time, we will be extremely grateful. Tong Shi's face. Kong Long, by the way, my name is Tong Shi. What's your name? Tong Shi's Lu Ming replied. Brother Lu, let's go. I'll bring you to see the Righteous Army. Tong Shi said. After that, her figure flashed and flew towards a certain direction. Lu Ming followed Tong Shi. The two of them did not fly in the air. Instead, they ran on the ground. However, their speed was still very fast. After running for a few hours, the two of them arrived at a rather remote canyon. Who? As soon as the two of them arrived, a cold shout rang out. A middle-aged man appeared in front of them, blocking their path. When the middle-aged burly man saw that it was Tong Shi, he revealed a smile. Then, he swept his gaze over Lu Ming and narrowed it slightly. There was a hint of wariness in his eyes. He had no choice but to be on guard. This was planet Dark Underworld, the territory of the Yuan Luo Palace. The Righteous Army and the Yuan Luo Palace were sworn enemies. The remaining members of the Righteous Army were all here. Naturally, he would be on guard when he saw an unfamiliar man. Uncle Lu, his name is Lu Ming. He is also an enemy of Yuan Luo Palace. He has a way to help us save Uncle Wang and the others. Tong Shi said. He has a way to save them? The middle-aged man's eyes were full of suspicion. He could tell that Lu Ming was only at the transformation void martial stage. Such a cultivation was not worth mentioning in his eyes. How could he have a way to save their companions? Don't be fooled by him. He might be from Yuan Luo Palace and is trying to win your trust. The middle-aged man's face turned ugly. If that was the case, they would all be in danger. A cold, murderous intent was emitted from his body. He was ready to attack at any time. Uncle Lu, it can't be. He has the young master of Yuan Luo Palace, Kong Long, Tong Shi hurriedly said. He has the young master of Yuan Luo Palace, Kong Long? The middle-aged man's aura immediately weakened. He was bewildered. If Lu Ming really had Kong Long in his hands, he was definitely not from the Yuan Luo Palace. Even if he wanted to capture them, he would not use Kong Long to take the risk. It was impossible. This was also the reason why Tong Shi felt at ease bringing Lu Ming here. That's right. Kong Long is in my book. Miss Shi has already seen it. Immediately, Lu Ming explained his plan to him. Good. Brother Lu Ming, I misunderstood you just now. I'm sorry. The middle-aged man smiled embarrassedly. It's fine. Lu Ming smiled. Under such circumstances, it was normal for the other party to be cautious. I'll take you to see Deputy General's son, the middle-aged man said. Then he led Lu Ming and Tong Shi into the depths of the canyon. In the depths of the canyon, Lu Ming saw a group of about 30 people. They were all experts who were above level 3 Empty God Realm. Among them, Tong Shi's cultivation was the weakest. Deputy General's son, the middle-aged man and Tong Shi bowed to a gray-robed elder. The gray-robed elder was Deputy General's son. In the Jingtian army, the person with the highest position was the general, who was also the ancestor of techniques. Under the general, there were a few deputy generals. Below them were the various generals and deputy generals. This elder was a deputy general who was at level 9 Empty God Realm. When the people in the canyon saw Lu Ming, they were wary. However, when Tong Shi and the others said that Lu Ming had Kong Long, they were all overjoyed. Lu Ming waved his hand and Kong Long appeared in Lu Ming's hand. It's really Kong Long. I've seen him once. We're saved. When the Jingtian army saw Kong Long, they were all overjoyed. They were no longer wary of Lu Ming. When Kong Long saw so many Jingtian army members, he was so frightened that his face turned pale. He shrank back and did not dare to make a ruckus. Senior, I'll have to trouble you. Lu Ming handed Kong Long to Deputy General Sunday. Little brother Lu Ming, if we can escape this time, please state your conditions. Deputy General's son laughed heartily. Junior's conditions are simple. I want to leave with all of you. Then, I need a place to settle my family and friends. Lu Ming said. That's simple. Our Jingtian army has occupied more than a dozen planets with life. We don't have much, but we have a lot of land. You can choose whatever you want. Deputy General's son grinned and took Kong Long. Chapter 2580. All right, there's no time to lose. I'll go and rescue them. You do follow me. After Deputy General's son took Kong Long, he looked at the two burly men. The two burly men were at level 8 Empty God Realm. Besides Deputy General's son, they were the ones with the highest cultivation. Immediately, the three of them carried Kong Long and flew away. Lu Ming did not need to worry about what happened after that. He believed that Deputy General's son would find a way to successfully exchange for the Starry Sky battleship and the members of the Jingtian army. Kong Long was the young master of Yuan Luo Palace. With him as a hostage, the people of Yuan Luo Palace would not dare to reject the exchange. Lu Ming and the others only needed to wait quietly. In less than a day, Deputy General's son and the others returned with more than 20 people. Success. Lu Ming knew that Deputy General's son and the others had succeeded. Let's go. Let's leave planet Dark Underworld. The people of Yuan Luo Palace will definitely hunt us down. Deputy General's son said. With that, he waved his hand and a small boat appeared in the air. The shape of the boat was strange. It did not look like a boat. Instead, it looked similar to the flying shuttle that Lu Ming had seen in Yuanlu. The two ends of the boat were pointed and formed the shape of a shuttle. The body of the boat was pitch black and strange runes were engraved on its surface. Lu Ming knew that this must be the Starry Sky battleship. It was a battleship that could travel in the universe. Lu Ming's heart burned with excitement. This kind of battleship was shockingly expensive. This was because true gods could only stay in the universe for a short period of time and could not travel across the universe. Only true gods had the ability to travel across the universe from one planet to another. This showed how precious the Starry Sky battleship was. If one could have one, they would be able to travel freely in the universe. As soon as the Starry Sky battleship appeared in the air, it expanded rapidly. "All of you come in," Deputy General Sun said. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Everyone rushed into the Starry Sky battleship. Deputy General Sun was the last to enter. When he entered the Starry Sky battleship, the Starry Sky battleship turned into a beam of light and shot into the sky. Swoosh. The Starry Sky battleship was like a beam of light shooting into space. Soon, it rushed out of the atmosphere and entered the starry sky. On the walls of the starship, there were transparent crystals. Through these crystals, one could see what was happening outside. Lu Ming looked outside through the crystal. He could see that the land behind him was beginning to shrink. Soon, a blue planet appeared below. "This is the dark underworld planet?" Lu Ming was shocked to see a planet appear in front of him for the first time. In the heaven realm, such a scene could not be seen. The huge dark underworld star was rotating slowly in the universe. In Lu Ming's field of vision, it was getting smaller and smaller. "One day I will return to planet Dark Underworld. One day I will take back the heaven realm and primordial realm. Senior Song Mo, and the other seniors from the heaven realm, one day, I'll set you free. The Yuan Luo Palace treated us heaven realm people as medicinal herbs. One day, I'll flatten the Yuan Luo Palace." Lu Ming swore in his heart, his gaze firm. The dark underworld planet became smaller and smaller in Lu Ming's eyes. Eventually, it became a small black dot and disappeared. Lu Ming looked at other places and sighed in his heart. Beautiful, too beautiful. The universe's starry sky was too beautiful. The stars were shining brightly, and they were sailing in the universe's starry sky. The Eldritch universe, this is the real world. It's vast and boundless. Looking at the starry sky, Lu Ming only felt that his heart was broadened. The heaven realm, primordial realm, and evil god realm were too small. They were just small worlds. They could not be compared to the Eldritch universe. The Eldritch universe was too big. It was boundless. There were countless races and experts. Those legendary experts roamed the universe, repaying their debts of gratitude and vengeance as they pleased. They were immortal. Lu Ming suddenly felt a sense of pride in his heart. He could feel his blood boiling. One day, he would also become an expert in the universe. Although there was still an unreachable distance for him now, when Lu Ming first started cultivating, wasn't there also an unreachable distance between him and the top powerhouse in the heaven realm? But in the end, Lu Ming still managed to reach it. Lu Ming felt that the Eldritch universe would be more exciting than the heaven realm and primordial realm. Now, they were going to the headquarters of the righteous army, the righteous planet. The dark underworld planet was very far away from the righteous planet. One could imagine that the surface area of the dark underworld planet was 10,000 times larger than the heaven realm, primordial realm, and evil god realm combined. But the dark underworld planet was just a speck of dust in the universe. One could imagine how big the distance between different planets was. Even with the starry sky battleship's astonishing speed, it would still take several months to travel. In the Starry Sky battleship, Lu Ming sometimes cultivated and sometimes chatted with Tong Shi and Deputy General Sunday. He also learned a lot about the Eldritch universe. At the same time, when the righteous army found out that Lu Ming came from a small world and was from the same hometown as the righteous army's general, their attitude towards Lu Ming completely changed. It was as if they treated Lu Ming as one of their own. Several months passed in the blink of an eye. In front of them, a huge planet appeared. This planet was the Righteous Planet. The Righteous Planet was named after the righteous army occupied this place. Naturally, it wasn't called this before. What a huge planet! Looking from afar, Lu Ming felt that the Righteous Planet was shockingly huge. Its volume was at least several times larger than the dark underworld planet. It gave off a strong visual impact. The starry sky battleship slowed down and slowly approached the Righteous Planet. Slowly, Lu Ming could see mountain ranges, large rivers, and even huge cities on the Righteous Planet. Not long after, they entered the atmosphere of the Righteous Planet. At this time, Deputy General Sun put away the starry sky battleship and they appeared in the air. What a rich divine qi! Lu Ming took a deep breath. He felt that the divine qi here was incomparably rich. It was more than twice as rich as the dark underworld planet. This kind of cultivation environment was too good. Let's go! Deputy General Sun took the lead and flew towards a mountain peak. Lu Ming and the others followed. This mountain peak was incomparably wide. There were many palaces built on it. It was grand and magnificent. Between the mountain peaks, there were constantly experts flying back and forth. So many experts. Lu Ming was secretly shocked. At a glance, he saw that most of the experts in the city were in the Void God realm. Those below the Void God realm were in the minority. However, Lu Ming also understood that this should be the headquarters of the Righteous Army. There were naturally many experts here. Other places definitely wouldn't have so many experts. Soon they arrived at a square. Take Lu Ming to the living room and wait. I'll go and report to the general. If he knows that a fellow villager has come, he'll definitely be very happy. Deputy General Sun said. Okay. Tong Shi nodded. Then she looked at Lu Ming and said, Lu Ming, come with me. Let's go to the living room. But Lu Ming nodded and followed Tong Shi. Chapter 2581. After arriving at the living room, Lu Ming and Tong Shi chatted casually as they waited. Not long after, a shadow flashed outside the living room and a figure suddenly appeared. It was a man who looked to be around 30 years old. He wore a black robe and looked handsome and elegant, giving people a gentle feeling. Greetings, General. Tong Shi quickly stood up and bowed when she saw the young man. This person was the general of the Jingtian army, the ancestor of the heaven realm back then, the legendary person who created the law cultivation system. Haha, no need to be so polite. I'm here to meet my fellow countrymen. The ancestor of techniques laughed and stepped in. Lu Ming greets the ancestor of techniques. Lu Ming also stood up and bowed. It was the first time he met this legendary person, so Lu Ming was also quite excited. No need to be so polite, no need to be so polite. The ancestor of techniques waved his hand and a gentle force lifted Lu Ming up. No one has called me that for many years. From now on, just call me General like the others. The ancestor of techniques smiled and sized up Lu Ming carefully. You have the aura of the heaven realm. You are indeed from the heaven realm. You even cultivated the law cultivation system and formed a small world, the ancestor of techniques whispered and looked at Lu Ming with an even more friendly gaze. Lu Ming, how did you come out of the heaven realm? What happened in the heaven realm? I once secretly snuck into the dark underworld planet, but the passage to the heaven realm has been sealed. Even I can't enter. The ancestor of techniques asked a few questions. It was obvious that he wasn't calm in his heart. Lu Ming knew that the ancestor of techniques must have cultivated and returned to the dark underworld planet. But the passage was sealed by the ancestral dragon and the Hell Protector Patriarch with the sky-suppressing rune. The ancestor of techniques was too powerful. If he forcefully broke the seal, the heaven realm, the Yuan realm, and the evil god realm would collapse together. Senior, it's like this. Immediately, Lu Ming briefly told him what had happened in the heaven realm and the evil god realm. I see. After the ancestor of technique heard this, he nodded and sighed. Senior, I've brought out most of the divine beasts and humans from the primordial realm from the heaven realm. In a few months, our small world will merge with the primitive universe. We need a place to settle these creatures. Lu Ming said. That's easy. I'll choose a place for you immediately. The ancestor of techniques smiled. The upright heaven star was shockingly large. It was several times larger than the dark underworld star. It was easy to settle the living beings of the primordial realm in. Follow me. The ancestor of techniques did things swiftly and decisively. After speaking, he waved his sleeve and a wave of energy swept up Lu Ming and flew him outside. The ancestor of technique's speed was extremely shocking. The scenery around them constantly flashed by. Not long after, they flew far away and arrived at a grassland. This grassland stretched as far as the eye could see, with no end in sight. This grassland is vast, and its area is at least 10 times that of the Heaven Domain, Primordial Realm, and Evil God Realm. Your small worlds can just merge here. The ancestor of law said. Thank you, Senior. Lu Ming was also very excited. There was finally a place to settle down. After rushing out of the Heaven Domain, he had finally won a chance of survival and successfully brought everyone out of danger. Senior, please wait for a moment. With that, Lu Ming's heart stirred and his figure appeared on a mountain peak in his small world. Here, Ancestral Gragon, Heavenly Thunder Emperor, Titan Longhorn Bull, and the others had been waiting for Lu Ming's news. At the same time, they were also prepared to fight to the death if there was any danger. Lu Ming. As soon as Lu Ming appeared, Ancestral Gragon and the others looked at Lu Ming. Lu Ming, how is the situation now? If there's no other way, we can fight to the death. Everyone spoke one after another. Everyone, we have already left the dark underworld star. Lu Ming said with a smile. What? Left the dark underworld star? Ancestral Gragon and the others were stunned, and then they were overjoyed. Left the dark underworld star? Could it be that they had escaped? We're safe now. Also, I'll bring you to see someone. After speaking, a force enveloped Ancestral Gragon and the others and moved them out of the small world. As soon as Ancestral Gragon and the others appeared outside, they looked around. In the next moment, their gazes were focused on the ancestor of techniques. This is, after seeing the ancestor of techniques, Ancestral Gragon, Heavenly Thunder Emperor, and the others were stunned. Master? Heavenly Thunder Emperor seemed to be dumbfounded. He muttered to himself and then trembled with excitement. Greetings, Master. After a long while, Heavenly Thunder Emperor bowed down. Ancestor of techniques? It's the ancestor of techniques. At the same time, some people exclaimed. Among these people, some had existed since the ancient times. Some were even older than the ancestor of techniques, so they naturally knew the ancestor of techniques. When they saw the ancestor of techniques, they were inexplicably shocked. The ancestor of techniques had left the Heaven Domain a long time ago. They did not expect to meet him here. Heavenly Thunder, long time no see. It's time for your cultivation to break through. The ancestor of techniques smiled. Ancestor of techniques? Ancestral Gragon muttered with a complicated gaze. When the ancestor of techniques was still in the Heaven Domain, he had already been ordered to guard the Heaven Domain. When the ancestor of techniques left the Heaven Domain, he naturally knew about it. Also, he knew that those people would be controlled by the Yuan Luo Palace when they left the Heaven Domain. However, he was helpless and could not stop them, nor could he warn them. Later, when the Hell Protector ancestor went to the Heaven Domain and took out the Heaven Suppressing Talisman, they worked together to seal the passage to the Heaven Domain. However, what surprised him was that the ancestor of techniques was not controlled by the Yuan Luo Palace. It's like this. The ancestor of techniques has created the righteous army to fight against the Yuan Luo Palace. Lu Ming briefly explained the ancestor of techniques and how they came to the righteous star. General of the righteous army, Ancestral Gragon and the others muttered. At this moment, they deeply understood that the ancestor of technique's current realm was not something they could guess. It was probably shockingly high. Otherwise, how could he create the righteous army to fight against the Yuan Luo Palace? Some of the people here were of the same generation as the ancestor of techniques. Some of them were even older than the ancestor of techniques. However, at this moment, their eyes were filled with respect. That was the way of cultivation. Those who had reached the top were the seniors, regardless of age. Since the ancestor of technique's cultivation was far above them, They naturally could not treat the ancestor of techniques as their peers. The ancestor of techniques swept his gaze across the crowd and nodded slightly. His heart was also filled with complicated emotions. There were many familiar faces here. After so many years, seeing so many familiar faces made him feel rather emotional. Alright, you guys can stay here for now. I will send someone to help you. If you need anything, you can ask me, said the ancestor of techniques. With that, he turned into a beam of light and left the place. Is this the Eldritch universe? What a rich divine chi. This cultivation environment is truly shocking. I feel like I'm about to break through. Ha, me too. After the ancestor of techniques left, everyone finally felt it. They were all shocked by the cultivation environment here. Chapter 2582. Moreover, some of these people had been stuck in the demigod realm for countless years. It was impossible for them to break through in the heaven realm. The heaven realm's conditions were not enough for them to break through to the martial god realm. At most, they could cultivate to the demigod realm. Their foundations, their comprehension had already reached their limits. Now that he had arrived at the primitive universe and arrived at the upright star, he had an urge to break through. Let's let them out first and settle them down. It won't be too late to break through after the small world and the primitive universe have merged. Yes. Immediately, Lu Ming and some people who had cultivated small worlds released the divine beasts and humans from their small worlds. People kept appearing on the plain. Not long after, a dense crowd of humans and divine beasts appeared. Their numbers were immeasurable. These were the people and divine beasts of the entire primordial realm. Naturally, their numbers were frightening. However, the plain was too big. It was more than 10 times the size of the evil god realm of the primordial realm. It could easily accommodate them. Ladies and gentlemen, we're safe now. This is just Heaven Planet, the Your Wilds universe. We can settle down here and build a city. Lu Ming's voice rang in everyone's ears. Is this the primitive universe? God, what kind of energy is this? It's much stronger than origin chi. My cultivation is about to break through. I just took a breath. In this environment, I feel that even if I don't cultivate, I can strengthen my body and break through my cultivation. Countless humans and divine beasts were shocked when they sensed the environment. The cultivation environment of the primitive universe was much better than that of the primordial realm of the heaven realm. It was like the difference between heaven and earth. They were right. Even if they didn't cultivate here, their cultivation could still increase. This was especially true for some low-level martial artists. For example, those below the martial emperor realm felt that with every breath, their cultivation was increasing. Their bodies were being tempered and constantly becoming stronger. Their feelings were not wrong. In the primitive universe, no matter what kind of creature it was, whether they cultivated or not, as long as they reached adulthood, their cultivation would reach the martial emperor realm. In other words, any farmer in the primitive universe would have the cultivation of a martial emperor. This was the divine realm. It couldn't be compared to the heaven realm at all. The environment here was too good. Any creature that stayed here for a long time would automatically evolve in all aspects and undergo a transformation. Many talented people could easily cultivate to martial sage or martial emperor. Of course, it was not easy to reach the martial god realm. It was a hurdle that stopped 99% of the living beings in the primitive universe. Everyone, let's familiarize ourselves with each other first before we begin. Lu Ming's voice sounded again. Everyone first familiarized themselves with the environment. After that, the ancestral Gragon and the others began to make arrangements. Everyone began to build a city on the plains. Not long after, a group of experts from the righteous army arrived. They were in charge of protecting the lives of the heaven realm. After all, there were some living creatures living in this grassland. Although there were no terrifying existences, any living creature had the cultivation of the martial emperor realm. To most of the humans and divine beasts in the heaven realm, they were very threatening. Following that, countless heaven realm living beings started to get busy. Many huge and majestic cities were erected on the grassland. At the same time, the righteous army had formation experts who helped them carve large formations. This way, as long as they stayed in the cities, they would be safe. Several months passed in the blink of an eye. Countless living beings in the heaven realm settled down on the grassland. Hundreds of huge cities suddenly appeared on this boundless grassland. In the past few months, the cultivations of countless living beings in the heaven realm skyrocketed as they continuously made breakthroughs. This was especially true for those with low cultivations. The speed of their breakthroughs was even more shocking. For example, Lu Ming's parents, Li Ping and Lu Yuntian, had directly charged into the martial sage realm. Furthermore, they were improving every day. When the countless living beings in the heaven realm first came to a place like this, they were destined to have a period of explosive growth. Once their cultivations were high, their progress would be slower. When they reached the martial emperor realm, their progress would be much slower. However, there were still many martial emperors who made breakthroughs. The lower the cultivation, the easier it was to break through. On this day, rumbling sounds came from Lu Ming's body. The 1-year period is up. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. He had been in the primitive universe for a year. The small world in his body was about to merge with the primitive universe. Lu Ming's figure moved and turned into a beam of light, appearing on an empty plain. At this moment, countless people rushed out and arrived at the empty plain. Like Lu Ming, they cultivated the system of laws and refined their small worlds. At this moment, they were about to merge with the primitive universe. Buzz. Lu Ming's small world vibrated more and more violently. Then, it flew out on its own. After the small world flew out, it directly landed on the grassland and merged with the ground of the grassland. The area of the grassland rapidly expanded. Lu Ming felt a wave of weakness in his body. This was caused by the merging of the small world and the primitive universe. At this moment, the mountain river diagram flew out from Lu Ming's glabella and merged with the ground. As expected, even the paradise treasure can't be kept. Lu Ming sighed. The nature of the paradise treasure was the same as the small world. It was not allowed to exist in the primitive universe. In the primitive universe, except for some natural space secret realms, the small worlds cultivated by others that could allow living beings to survive were all not allowed to exist. The primitive universe was so domineering. It was the only one. However, spatial treasures such as storage rings were fine. This kind of spatial treasure only opened up a space to store things. Living beings could not survive in it, so it was fine. Fortunately, Lu Ming had put away all the treasures of the mountain and river diagram in the small world into the small world. In the heaven realm, all the living beings who cultivated small worlds had their small worlds merged with the ground. Whoosh! At this moment, an incomparably powerful energy poured into Lu Ming's body. Lu Ming did not even need to refine it. This energy automatically transformed into the power of the world and the power of the ruler. The feeling of weakness quickly disappeared, and Lu Ming was full of energy again. This was the feedback from the primitive universe. The primitive universe was fair. If it took away his small world, the corresponding energy would be returned to him. Lu Ming felt the power of the world and the power of the ruler in his body surging. His total energy did not decrease. His cultivation was the same as before. There was no difference at all. It was just that the small world had disappeared and turned into the power of the world and the power of the ruler. This is good too. It will be more convenient for me to break through to the martial god realm in the future. Lu Ming smiled. In order to break through to the martial god realm, he had to merge everything into one. Even if the small world did not merge with the primitive universe, he would have to find a way to merge everything in the future. However, that would be more troublesome. In this way, it would be more convenient for Lu Ming to break through to the martial god realm in the future. Chapter 2583. Peace returned to the world. The small worlds in the bodies of all the people in the heaven realm and primordial realm who cultivated the nomological system fused with the grassland. The area of this grassland had also expanded a little. The distance between some of the big cities had also increased. Boom, boom. Right at this moment, several auras soared into the sky, shocking to the extreme. That's breaking through to the martial god realm. Lu Ming's eyes flickered as he looked in the direction of the explosion. Emperor Heavenly Thunder, Emperor Rebellious. There were a total of 5 people, and their auras were getting stronger and stronger, reaching the peak. This was the sign of breaking through to the martial god realm. Lu Ming had not expected the Heavenly Thunder Sovereign and the others to break through at this moment. However, on second thought, it was reasonable. Martial Monarch Heavenly Thunder, Martial Monarch Rebellious, and the others had long achieved the half-martial god realm. They had been accumulating their strength for a long time, thus they could have long achieved the martial god realm. However, in the heaven realm, the conditions were limited, so it was difficult to successfully break through. The bodies of Sovereign Heavenly Thunder and Sovereign Rebellious were like 5 vortexes, constantly absorbing the energy of heaven and earth. Between the heavens and the earth, the surging divine chi continued to gather towards them. A few days later, their auras skyrocketed. There was a layer of light on the surface of their bodies that looked like flames. It was a blazing divine flame. Level 1 Nihility God Realm, they had broken through. No heavenly tribulation. Lu Ming's eyes flickered in surprise. He had long discovered this situation. This was because during this period of time, too many people and divine beasts in the heaven realm and primordial realm had broken through, but there was no heavenly tribulation. In the heaven realm and the primordial realm, breaking through to the martial emperor realm, martial saint realm, and martial emperor realm would be accompanied by a calamity. However, there was nothing here. In the heaven realm, there was a terrifying heavenly tribulation when breaking through to the half-martial god realm. Lu Ming initially thought there would be a heavenly tribulation when breaking through to the martial god realm, but to his surprise, there was none. Perhaps this is the difference between the primordial realm and the primitive universe. Lu Ming pondered. In the heavenly world, the primordial world, and the fiend god world, the heavenly Tao was supreme. All heavenly tribulations were evolved from the heavenly Tao. However, the heavenly Tao was only the heavenly Tao of the primordial realm. It had nothing to do with the primordial universe. Perhaps there was no such thing as a heavenly tribulation in the primitive universe. Lu Ming let out a smile. This was good. His parents' cultivation had been increasing, and it was only a matter of time before they broke through to the martial emperor realm. Without the heavenly tribulation, Lu Ming felt more at ease. Congratulations, congratulations. Emperor Heavenly Thunder, Emperor Rebelled, and the others had successfully broken through to the martial god realm. Many people flew over to congratulate them. The Heavenly Thunder Sovereign and the others were also full of smiles, unable to hide the excitement in their hearts. They had been trapped in the same realm for too long. In the past, it had been difficult for them to break through. Now that they had broken through, they suddenly felt like birds flying freely in the sky. Their minds were also broadened. Lu Ming also came forward to congratulate him. After a lively moment, Lu Ming returned to his residence. Lu Ming was currently living in a newly built city. He, Xian Yanqing, Lu Shenhuang, Lu Qi, his disciples, and his parents all lived in this city. Lu Ming entered a room and sat down cross-legged. A crystal appeared in his hand. This crystal was the size of a fist, and it was crystal clear. This crystal was called a divine crystal, and it was formed by pure divine qi. In the Netherworld Mountain, the divine stone that Lu Ming obtained was also condensed from divine aura. However, that kind of divine stone could be said to be a second-class divine crystal. The divine aura contained in it could not be compared to that of a divine crystal. Tens of thousands of divine stones were only equivalent to one divine crystal. After all, the Yellow Spring Mountain had been sealed in the primordial realm of the heaven realm. After a long time, the divine qi was no longer pure. The divine stones that were formed naturally could not be compared to divine crystals. Divine crystals were the hard currency of the divine world. They were divided into lower, middle, upper, and supreme grades. The divine crystal that Lu Ming had was a lower-grade divine crystal. One piece was equivalent to tens of thousands of divine stones. Divine crystals of the middle grade and above were naturally rarer and more precious. Lu Ming had killed 7 or 8 empty god realm experts who had invaded the heaven realm. On the dark underworld star, he had also killed a few experts from the Yuan Luo Palace. He had obtained some lower-grade divine crystals from their storage rings. In total, there were more than 5,000 pieces. If these 5,000 lower-grade divine crystals were exchanged for divine stones, it would be more than 100 million divine stones. If they were exchanged for supreme-grade primordial stones, it would be an astronomical figure. Primordial stones were only produced in the primordial realm of the heaven realm. There was a huge difference between them and divine crystals. Naturally, they could not be compared. Lu Ming tidied up the items in his hands and continued to cultivate. Time passed quickly. Soon, another year had passed. In this year, more people had broken through. The overall strength of the people from the heaven realm and primordial realm continued to increase. Moreover, many demigods had successfully broken through and entered the martial god realm. Almost all of the veteran demigods had entered the martial god realm. Even the Dandan Titan Longhorn Beetle, 9 Lives Demon Silkworm, and the others were about to break through. Lu Ming, I am about to break through. On this day, Xian Yanqing said to Lu Ming, about to break through? All right, I will protect you. Lu Ming was overjoyed. Xian Yanqing nodded. The two of them left the city and came to an open space. Xian Yanjuan. In front of them, there was a figure sitting cross-legged in midair. His body was emitting a bright sacred light. It was a coincidence to meet Xian Yanjuan here. You are about to break through too? Xian Yanjuan looked at Xian Yanqing in surprise. That's right. Xian Yanqing nodded. I didn't expect your cultivation speed to be so fast after absorbing the memories of your past life. It makes me a little jealous. Xian Yanjuan smiled. If I don't cultivate faster, I will be surpassed by you. Xian Yanqing smiled faintly. Then he went to the other side and sat cross-legged in midair. His body was emitting a dark light. Xian Yanjuan did not say much. He closed his eyes and adjusted his condition. Boom, boom. 3 days later, almost at the same time, shocking auras exploded from the two of them. A black pillar of light and a white pillar of light soared into the sky, breaking through the clouds. At that instant, many people fixed their gazes in their direction. Such a shocking aura. It seems like someone has broken through to the martial god realm. In a city, the ancestral dragon's eyes glittered as he sprang into the sky. He soon appeared not far away from Lu Ming. Following it, the heavenly lightning martial monarch and the others appeared too and observed from afar. Meanwhile, the auras emitted by Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan grew stronger as if there was no end to it. Rumble! The heavens and earth shook vigorously. Their figures were like two black holes as the god Qi between the heavens and earth gathered toward them and entered their bodies. Their auras skyrocketed once again as a terrifying aura burst out from them. This aura, why is it so shocking? How terrifying, it's more than 10 times stronger than when we broke through. How is this possible? The ancestral dragon, the chaotic martial monarch, the heavenly lightning martial monarch, and the others blurted out. Chapter 2584. The auras that Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan exuded were too shocking. Even those who had stabilized their empty god realm were shocked. Moreover, this was not the end. Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan's auras continued to rise. As time passed, the two of them seemed to have turned into two suns. One was as black as ink, while the other was as pure as a saint. It was as if two suns, one black and one white, were hanging in the sky, shining down on the entire grassland. At that moment, the grassland and the few hundred cities could all see what was going on. The commotion was too terrifying. The commotion caused by Shao Qing and Xian Yanjuan's breakthrough is far greater than that of the others. Lu Ming exclaimed in his heart. At that moment, Lu Ming felt that the auras that Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan exuded were more than 10 times stronger than when the others had broken through. Moreover, it was still getting stronger. Swoosh! Not far away from Lu Ming, a light flashed and a figure appeared. It was the ancestor of techniques. It was obvious that even the ancestor of techniques was alarmed. Transformation, they are continuously transforming. Could it be that they are trying to control divine power? The ancestor of techniques muttered. His eyes were filled with shock. Huff huff. The attractive force on Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan grew stronger and stronger. Endless divine qi rolled towards the two of them. However, it was obvious that it could not keep up with the speed of their refinement. Lu Ming's expression changed. He waved his hand and many divine gems appeared. There was a total of 2,000 divine gems. 1,000 flew towards Xianyanqing. 1,000 flew towards Xianyanjuan. Once the divine gems reached their bodies, they exploded one by one and turned into rich divine qi. The divine qi flew into their bodies and was absorbed by them. After a day, the 1,000 divine gems were completely absorbed. However, the two of them had no intention of stopping. There are 3,000 divine gems left. Let's use them all. Lu Ming clenched his teeth and decided to throw out the remaining 3,000 god crystals. However, at that moment, the ancestor of techniques, who was not far from Lu Ming, waved his hand. Pieces of god crystals flew out towards Xianyanqing and Xianyanjuan. With a sweep of his spiritual awareness, Lu Ming knew that there were a total of 6,000 divine crystals, 3,000 for each person. Bang! Bang! The god crystals exploded one by one, transforming into divine energy that was absorbed by the two of them. However, even after several days had passed, the two of them did not stop cultivating. The ancestor of technique waved his hand again, and another 4,000 divine crystals flew out, 2,000 for each person. This time, it was finally enough. When the two of them finished absorbing the 2,000 divine crystals, their auras finally reached their peak and then slowly stabilized. He had broken through the martial god realm. Xianyanqing and Xianyanjuan had both entered the martial god realm and were at level 1 empty god realm. Thank you, ancestor of techniques. Lu Ming flew towards the ancestor of techniques and cupped his fists to express his gratitude. This time, if the ancestor of techniques had not taken out 10,000 divine crystals, Lu Ming would not have had enough divine crystals. It's just a few divine crystals. You don't have to thank me. These two ladies are not simple. The ancestor of techniques said with a smile. Then, he turned into a beam of light and left the place. They are not simple. Lu Ming mumbled to himself. When Xianyanqing and Xianyanjuan were below the martial god realm, their performance was already shocking. However, when they had broken through to the martial god realm, it was even more shocking. It was as if they had undergone some transformation. Xianyanqing's past life, or Xianyanjuan's past life, must have had an extraordinary background. Lu Ming had wanted to ask Xianyanqing about it a few times. However, Xianyanqing seemed to be hesitant and was unwilling to talk about it. Lu Ming wanted to ask Xianyanjuan about it, but Xianyanjuan was unwilling to talk about it. Lu Ming had no choice but to give up. Congratulations, congratulations. At that moment, Xianyanqing and Xianyanjuan's auras had stabilized. Ancestral Gragon and the others immediately went up to congratulate them. Entering the martial god realm was equivalent to entering another level of life and becoming a deity. It was the second step of cultivation. It was no small matter. Xianyanjuan was cold. He nodded his head casually and stepped into the sky to leave the place. Thank you, seniors. Xianyanqing nodded his head with a smile and flew towards Lu Ming. Not long after, Ancestral Gragon and the others left too. Shaoqing, how do you feel? Lu Ming held Xianyanqing's hand and asked. I'm fine. Do you want to have a duel with me? Xianyanqing blinked his eyes and looked at Lu Ming with a faint smile. What is it? Are you trying to trample me under your feet? Lu Ming teased. When he had first met Xianyanqing, Xianyanqing had been thinking about trampling him under his feet every day. What? No way. Xianyanqing glared at him. Let's see if you have the ability to do so. Lu Ming smiled and planted a kiss on Xianyanqing's lips. His figure drifted backward and stood opposite Xianyanqing. You dare to take advantage of me? I'm going to take advantage of you. Xianyanqing's eyes flickered. With a flicker, he charged at Lu Ming. So fast. Lu Ming was shocked. He stomped his foot heavily and retreated rapidly. Then his body emitted a dazzling purple-golden light. Lu Ming circulated his Tao of Sovereign to 80% and sent out a palm strike. The powerful palm strike surged towards Xianyanqing like a tidal wave. Xianyanqing also sent out a palm strike. His palm was wrapped in a layer of black light. Bang! Their palms collided. Lu Ming's expression changed instantly. He felt a terrifying force surging toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming felt a sharp pain in his arm. He was knocked back 100 miles. What a powerful force! Lu Ming exclaimed in his heart. He had already used 80% of his strength, but he couldn't block Xian Yanqing's attack. He retreated, but Xian Yanqing didn't move at all. He didn't even sway. You'd better use your full strength. Otherwise, you're no match for me. Xian Yanqing smiled. Looks like I'll have to use my full strength. Lu Ming smiled bitterly. He unleashed his Tao of Sovereign to the extreme. At the same time, he began to activate the battle formula. Lu Ming had not stopped comprehending the battle formula since he came here. His comprehension of the battle formula was getting deeper and deeper. The success rate of activating the battle formula to double one's combat strength was also increasing. In a few moments, Lu Ming succeeded in activating the battle formula, and his combat strength skyrocketed. Xian Yanqing rushed toward Lu Ming like a black stream of light and sent out another palm strike. Lu Ming also sent out a palm strike. Boom! The two exchanged blows for the second time. An earth-shattering explosion erupted in the sky. Then a figure was knocked back. It was still Lu Ming. This power, Lu Ming was shocked. He had unleashed his full strength and activated the battle formula to double one's combat strength. Such combat strength was enough to kill an ordinary level 2 empty god. However, he was still defeated by Xian Yanqing. Let's continue. Lu Ming's interest was piqued. He dashed toward Xian Yanqing without any scruples and unleashed his full strength. He and Xian Yanqing exchanged blows and engaged in a fierce battle. Chapter 2585. However, after exchanging a dozen blows with Xian Yanqing, Lu Ming was depressed to find that he was no match for Xian Yanqing and was completely crushed. Xian Yanqing's divine power was strong, condensed, and indestructible. Its power was shocking and unfathomable. I'm done. After exchanging a dozen blows, Lu Ming retreated and gave up. You're done? Then I'm going to take back what you've taken advantage of me. In a flash, Xian Yanqing appeared in front of Lu Ming and pressed her red lips against Lu Ming's. Lu Ming took the opportunity to grab Xian Yanqing's slender waist and pulled Xian Yanqing into his arms. His hands were already climbing up Xian Yanqing's breasts and fondling them wantonly. After a while, the two of them separated. You're really lucky, Xian Yanqing said with a slightly red face. We're already an old married couple. Don't be shy. Lu Ming laughed. Then, hand in hand, they strolled on the grassland. Shao Qing, is the divine power you're cultivating a divine-grade divine power? Lu Ming asked. After being here for a few months, Lu Ming had looked for Tong Shi to borrow some books to read. They were all general knowledge of the primitive universe. Lu Ming had learned a lot about the primitive universe, including cultivation. The divine power cultivated by the martial god realm was divided into different grades. The divine power cultivated by ordinary people was just ordinary divine power. Some geniuses cultivated divine power that was more powerful and condensed than ordinary divine power. It had different mysteries. This kind of divine power was called king-grade divine power. Above king-grade divine power, there was an even higher grade of divine power called divine-grade divine power. Those who could control divine power were all peerless geniuses that were 1 in a billion. Every one of them had amazing combat power, and it was easy for them to challenge those of a higher level. Lu Ming suspected that the godly power Xian Yanqing cultivated was saint godly power. Of course, above the saint grade divine 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 Great divine, 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 divine, great divine powers were even rarer. Every type of divine, great divine power had endless uses. Every person who could control a divine, great divine power was a genius among geniuses, unparalleled and unparalleled in this world. For example, when Lu Ming broke through to the martial god realm, the path of ruler would transform into ruler god energy, which was a kind of divine, great god energy. The martial art I practice and my physique are quite unique. Below the martial god realm, I'm still in the process of establishing my foundation. Once I break through to the martial god realm, I'll undergo a transformation and grow stronger rapidly. I'm currently at the sacred god force, but I'll still grow stronger in the future. I might even surpass your ruler god force by then. Xian Yanqing explained with a smile. All right then, I'll rely on you to protect me from now on. Lu Ming said with a smile. The two of them chatted and laughed as they walked. After a while, they returned to their residence. After returning to his room, Lu Ming sat down with his legs crossed. It's about time for me to break through, Lu Ming muttered. After this period of cultivation, Lu Ming's cultivation had reached the peak of a 2-star heavenly emperor and he could break through to a 3-star heavenly emperor now. Lu Ming took out the remaining divine crystals on him and began to cultivate. The power of the world and ruler god energy in his body circulated rapidly as Lu Ming began to break through to the next level. Bam, bam. Pieces of divine crystals exploded and turned into divine qi that was absorbed by Lu Ming. At the same time, the divine qi in the heavens and earth surged toward Lu Ming. Rumble. The power of the world and power of the world in Lu Ming's body became stronger and stronger. However, the ratio of the power of the world was slowly increasing. Breaking through with divine crystals was much faster than in the heaven realm. In just a few days, a powerful aura erupted from Lu Ming's body. His cultivation had broken through to become a 3-star heavenly emperor. His strength had also increased by a level. With my current combat strength, if I activate the battle word tactic to double my combat strength, I should be able to fight with a 3-level void god realm. Lu Ming estimated his own combat strength. When he was a 2-star heavenly emperor, before activating the battle word tactic to double his combat strength was still a little lacking compared to a 3-level void god realm. Slightly inferior, because the gap between each level of the void god realm was greater than the heavenly emperor realm. Now that he had broken through to a 3-star heavenly emperor, without activating the battle word tactic to double his combat strength, he was confident that he could fight with a 3-level void god realm existence and even defeat the other party. After activating the battle word tactic to double his combat strength, he was confident that he could fight with a 3-level void god realm existence. Of course, the opponents he was referring to were those who had mastered ordinary divine powers. It was naturally difficult for those who had mastered royal divine powers and above to do so. However, there aren't many divine crystals left. Lu Ming sighed. He originally had 5,000 divine crystals. Previously, he had used 2,000 for Xian Yanqing and Xian Yinjuan, leaving him with 3,000. When he had broken through to a 3-star heavenly emperor, he had used more than 2,000 divine crystals. He was only left with a few hundred divine crystals. He suddenly felt very poor and was under great pressure. Now, he had a big family to feed. His son, granddaughter, parents, and disciples all needed resources for their cultivation. Now, their cultivation was not particularly high. The remaining supreme-grade origin stones and divine stones on him were enough for their use. Moreover, the cultivation environment here was very good and he did not need divine crystals for the time being. However, as his cultivation increased, he would definitely need divine crystals in the future. How could Lu Ming not prepare some divine crystals on him? Moreover, he needed a large amount of divine crystals for his own cultivation. Otherwise, he would not have any resources for his next breakthrough. How can I earn some divine crystals? Lu Ming could not help but think about this problem. Previously, when Xian Yanqing and the others had broken through, the ancestor of technique had already taken out 10,000 divine crystals. Now, he naturally could not be thick-skinned enough to ask the ancestor of technique for divine crystals. The ancestor of technique was already good enough for them. Let's go out and see if there are any missions in the righteous army that can earn divine crystals. Thinking of this, Lu Ming walked out of the room and flew in the direction of the righteous army. Lu Ming had just arrived at the righteous army when he heard someone call out to him. Miss Shear. Lu Ming smiled. Lu Ming, why are you free to come to the righteous army today? Tong Shear smiled. I wanted to see if there are any missions in the righteous army that can earn me some divine crystals. Lu Ming smiled bitterly. Earn divine crystals? Why don't you go to 10,000 Gold Star and hunt down desolate beasts there and obtain their cores? You can sell them for a lot of divine crystals. Tong Shear said. How should we go to 10,000 Gold Star? Lu Ming asked. I happen to want to go to 10,000 Gold Star to hunt desolate beasts. Let's go together. However, the two of us are a little short. I originally wanted to go to the Righteous Army's mission hall to find a few more people. Tong Shear said. I'll go find 2 people. Lu Ming said. He thought of Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan. Alright, I'll go rent a space battleship. We'll meet here tomorrow. Tong Shear said. Chapter 2586. Rent an interstellar battleship? Lu Ming was taken aback. That's right. Jianghu isn't a planet occupied by the Righteous Army. This planet is very special. It's completely made of various metals. The desolate beasts on it are also made of metal. Furthermore, this planet isn't occupied by any faction. Many factions can go there to hunt desolate beasts. Therefore, our righteous army doesn't have a teleportation array that leads directly to Jianghu. We can only teleport to a location closest to Jianghu and then fly there on an interstellar battleship. Tong Shear explained. Then the cost of renting an interstellar battleship isn't low, right? Lu Ming said. Renting it once costs 1,000 deity crystals. Tong Shear said. 1,000 deity crystals. Lu Ming was shocked. This price was really shockingly expensive. There's no other way. Interstellar battleships are too precious. Our righteous army only has a dozen or so interstellar battleships. Moreover, they are all of the lowest grade. They can't fly too far. Flying in space for a year is the limit. Any further and we won't be able to. Moreover, every time an interstellar battleship travels across space, it needs to be maintained. Therefore, the price charged is naturally expensive. It is said that some of the major forces have even higher grade starships, and the rental fee is even higher. However, those starships are not only faster, but they can also fly a longer distance in the starry sky for a longer period of time. Tong Shear explained. Lu Ming sighed inwardly. It seemed like he still didn't know enough about the primitive universe. Miss Shear, can you pay for the rental of the interstellar battleship first? When I earn more deity crystals, I'll pay you back. Lu Ming said with a red face. He was really poor and couldn't take out so many deity crystals. It's fine. Tong Shear smiled faintly and bid farewell to Lu Ming. Lu Ming returned to his residence and found Xian Yanqing. He told Xian Yanqing about this matter and Xian Yanqing agreed. Then, the two of them went to find Xian Yanjuan. Alright, I'll go with you. Xian Yanjuan readily agreed. In fact, Xian Yanjuan was also in dire need of divine crystals for cultivation. Hunting desolate beasts to earn divine crystals was exactly what she wanted. In the blink of an eye, it was the second day. Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, and Xian Yanjuan arrived at the place where they had agreed to meet Tong Shear yesterday. Tong Shear was already waiting there. What beautiful women! Tong Shear looked at Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan with amazement in her eyes. Let's go. Tong Shear took the lead. Soon, they arrived at the Righteous Sky Army's interstellar teleportation formation. The teleportation array in the primitive universe looked similar to the teleportation array in the primordial realm in the heaven realm. After they stepped into the teleportation array, they felt dizzy and disappeared from the teleportation array. The distance to Jianghu wasn't close. Along the way, they would need to switch to another transmission array to reach the nearest planet to Jianghu, planet Tianguang. After 3 transfers, they arrived at planet Tianguang. Planet Tianguang was the planet closest to Jianghu among the planets occupied by the Righteous Sky Army. After arriving at planet Tianguang, Tong Shi took out her interstellar battleship. After the 4 of them entered the interstellar battleship tore through the sky and flew towards Jianghu. The interstellar battleship would take a month to reach Jianghu. The 4 of them cultivated as they waited. A month later, a huge planet appeared in front of them. In terms of size, this planet was far smaller than the Righteous Sky Star or the Dark Underworld Star. However, it was very special. From afar, it looked like a huge gemstone floating in the cosmos, shining brightly. According to Tong Shi's introduction, most of the materials on Jianghu were all kinds of strange metals. Even the living beings on it weren't made of flesh and blood, but of metal. The desolate beasts on it were the same. And the beast cores condensed in the bodies of these desolate beasts were a precious material for refining artifacts. The higher the level and the higher the cultivation of the desolate beast, the more precious and expensive the beast core condensed. This attracted many experts from various factions to hunt desolate beasts and obtain their beast cores. Rumble. The interstellar battleship entered Jianghu's atmosphere. The friction with the atmosphere produced a loud rumbling sound. At this moment, the 4 of them exited the interstellar battleship and stood high in the sky. The interstellar battleship quickly shrank and was put away by Tong Shi. Let's go down. This wasn't Tong Shi's first time here. She took the lead and flew down. Below them was a boundless forest. It's indeed all metal. As they approached the forest, Lu Ming was secretly amazed. The trees and all kinds of vegetation here were actually made of all kinds of strange metals. Lu Ming saw iron trees, silver flowers, and golden fruits. Of course, these ordinary metals were of no use to them, so they ignored them. The vast 1,000 realms really have all kinds of strange things. Lu Ming sighed. The vast 1,000 realms in the primitive universe were indeed more wonderful than the small 1,000 realms. The entire planet was made of all kinds of metals. The plants and living beings on it were all made of metal. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, it would have been hard to believe. Legend had it that in the vast cosmos, there were even more wonderful planets. Some were even beyond imagination. As they approached the forest, Tong Shi slowed down. We have to be careful in Jianghu. Not only are the desolate beasts dangerous, but the experts from other factions are even more dangerous. Tong Shi said. Lu Ming nodded. He understood that many factions would come here to hunt desolate beasts. There were probably many experts on Jianghu. It was very normal for the experts from different factions to hunt people from other factions and snatch their beast cores. The 4 of them landed in the forest. They concealed their auras and ran forward slowly. Suddenly, there was a roar in front of them. Then, there was a flash of silver light. They saw a huge figure rushing towards them. Retreat! The 4 of them retreated quickly. Boom! The earth rumbled. The metal on the ground exploded and splattered everywhere. A huge creature appeared where Lu Ming and the others were standing. It was a huge ape. It was more than 30 meters tall and its body was silver white as if it was made of silver. Even the hair on its skin looked like silver needles. The huge silver ape roared angrily. Its silver eyes emitted a cold luster. It charged towards Lu Ming and the others. Its fist, which was the size of a small house, blasted towards Lu Ming and the others with a terrifying whistling sound. Let me deal with it. Lu Ming rushed over. He circulated his power of sovereign and punched out. There was a dull roar. Lu Ming felt a terrifying force surging towards him. He couldn't help but retreat. However, the huge ape also retreated a few steps. The ground under its feet kept exploding. What a terrifying force. What a hard fist. There was a gleam in Lu Ming's eyes. Chapter 2587. The giant ape was shockingly powerful. Its entire body was made up of metal and was extremely sturdy. Regardless of its defense or strength, it was extremely terrifying, surpassing other living beings of the same level. The giant ape was at level 2 empty god realm, but it was stronger than the other level 2 empty gods that Lu Ming had encountered before. The giant ape retreated and let out a furious roar. It then charged towards Lu Ming. Kill! Lu Ming took out his sacred weapon combat sword and charged towards the giant ape. Ding, ding. Lu Ming's combat sword clashed with the giant silver ape continuously. In the blink of an eye, they had exchanged more than 10 blows. Sparks flew everywhere as the two of them clashed. The giant silver ape was ultimately no match for Lu Ming. Even if Lu Ming did not activate the battle formula to double his fighting strength, he could still suppress the giant silver ape with the battle formula, his cultivation as a 3-star heavenly emperor, physical strength, etc. The giant silver ape retreated continuously. Xian Yanqing, Xian Yanjuan, and Tong Shi did not attack. They formed a circle and stood at the side, guarding their surroundings. They were afraid that other experts or wild beasts would sneak up on them. Ding, ding, ding. Lu Ming and the giant silver ape exchanged more than 10 blows. Finally, Lu Ming seized the opportunity and beheaded the giant silver ape. Phew! Lu Ming heaved a sigh of relief. The giant silver ape was really hard to kill. Luckily, the giant silver ape does not have much intelligence. Otherwise, it would be even harder to deal with. Lu Ming sighed. It is said that in the chaotic universe, there are metal life forms with intelligence. They are an extremely powerful race. Among the countless races in the chaotic universe, they are ranked at the top. Tong Shi said, "There really are metal life forms with intelligence." Lu Ming was secretly amazed. Afterward, Lu Ming broke open the giant silver ape's chest and took out a round piece of metal from inside. This was the giant silver ape's beast core. A level 2 empty god realm metal beast core could be exchanged for 10 divine gems. An ordinary level 1 empty god realm metal beast core was worth 5 divine gems. A level 2 empty god realm metal beast core was worth 10 divine gems, and a level 3 empty god realm metal beast core was worth 20 divine gems. As the level of the beast core increased, its value also increased. As long as he could kill 100 level 2 empty god realm wild beasts, he would be able to recoup the rent of the space battleship. The rest would be earned. Let's gather the beast cores together first and then divide them equally. Lu Ming suggested. All right. Tong Shi nodded. Then, the group continued forward. Not long after they left, 2 figures flashed, and 2 middle-aged men appeared in the air. It's Tong Shi, the genius of the righteous army. Tong Shi is... Haha, I didn't expect Tong Shi to dare to come here, and there are 2 other girls as well. Be real. Let's go back and report to His Excellency and ask him to send experts to capture these people. When the time comes, we'll play with them a little before killing them. Go! In a flash, the 2 middle-aged men disappeared from the place. Lu Ming and the group continued forward. After a while, they encountered a level 1 empty god realm wild beast, which was easily killed by Tong Shi. Lu Ming could see that Tong Shi's cultivation had reached the peak of level 1 empty god realm, and she was not far from level 2 empty god realm. Moreover, her combat strength was shocking, far surpassing experts of the same level. Back then, when Lu Ming was a level 2 heavenly emperor, he had activated the battle word incantation to double his combat strength. However, he was only able to fight Tong Shi to a draw. Now, Lu Ming knew that Tong Shi possessed king-grade divine power and was a genius. As they went deeper into the forest, they encountered more and more wild beasts. However, most of them were level 1 and level 2 empty god realm beasts. As long as there were not many of them, they were easily killed. Not long after, they had killed 15 level 1 empty god realm wild beasts and 5 level 2 empty god realm wild beasts. Suddenly, the ground shook. A few huge wolves that were as black as ink dashed out from a canyon in front of them. These huge wolves were as though they were made of black iron. They were 10 meters tall and 20 meters long and exuded a terrifying aura. Oh no, there are 2 level 3 empty god realm beasts. Tong Shi-er's face changed drastically. There were a total of 4 huge wolves. 2 of them were level 3 empty god realm beasts and the other 2 were level 2 empty god realm beasts. Let's retreat and charge out. Tong Shi-er shouted. If there was only 1 level 3 empty god realm beast, they could still fight if they joined forces. However, they were in danger if there were 2 level 3 empty god realm beasts and 2 level 2 empty god realm beasts. No need, we can fight. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with fighting spirit. He had not given his all. Moreover, he knew Xian Yanqing's combat strength very well. It was easy for him to deal with a level 3 empty god realm beast. Moreover, Xian Yanjuan's strength was definitely not weaker than Xian Yanqing's. Lu Ming, have you broken through? Tong Shi-er was stunned. That's right. Lu Ming nodded. Alright, let's fight. Tong Shi-er gritted her teeth and said. Before Lu Ming had broken through, his combat strength was not weaker than hers. Now that he had broken through, it should not be a problem for him to deal with a level 3 empty god realm huge wolf. She might be able to fight if she tried her best to hold back a huge wolf. However, just as she finished speaking, Xian Yanjuan charged out towards a level 3 empty god realm huge wolf. Oh no! Tong Shi-er's face changed. She felt that Xian Yanjuan was too impulsive. Xian Yanjuan's cultivation was only at level 1 empty god realm. No matter how powerful he was at most on par with her. It was too dangerous for him to charge out like that. However, before she could stop him, Xian Yanjuan had already attacked. Her body emitted a holy light. She clenched her fist and a holy light sword was formed. She then slashed down. A level 3 empty god realm huge wolf roared and charged towards Xian Yanjuan. Its huge claws slapped down and a terrifying hurricane was formed. However, when the sword radiance in Xian Yanjuan's hand collided with the huge wolf's claws, the result was unexpected. Bam! The huge wolf howled and retreated. There was a deep sword mark on its metal claws and it had almost cut off its claws. So powerful? Tong Shi-er was dumbfounded. Swoosh! Xian Yanjuan gained the upper hand with this one move. Her figure fluttered, and she once again attacked the giant wolf. Her sword flashed, and in the blink of an eye, she slashed out a dozen times. Each strike was faster and stronger than the last, forcing the giant wolf to retreat again and again. On its metallic body, there were many deep sword marks. The other 3 huge wolves roared and charged towards Xian Yanjuan. Xian Yanqing moved and charged towards another level 3 empty god realm huge wolf. He struck out his palm and forced the huge wolf to retreat. Lu Ming shouted softly. In a flash, he charged toward the 2 giant wolves at the 2nd level of the void god realm. Tong Shi-er woke up from her daze and charged out as well. Xian Yanjuan and Xian Yanqing's combat strength completely suppressed the level 3 empty god realm huge wolves. Within a few moves, the 2 huge wolves were killed. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Immortal Journey YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.